Alexandra, I'm going to save you potentially some trouble right now. It's Florida state law. Listen to me. Alexandra, listen to me. Because I've been very courteous with you. I've been very courteous with you.
I just want to know if she's okay.
Listen.
Where is she?
We'll let you know.
So if you had the opportunity to just try to tell her something right at this moment, what would you tell her?
Tell her I'm very sorry and she can beat my ass. She'll never gotta talk to me again. I know that because her baby gone. I can't bring her baby back like a 3-year-old. I can't bring her back.
Right.
But if I can talk to my friend, if you was my friend, I'm sorry.
Any story where someone loses their life, and in this case, 2 people who are just in their teenage years, it is incredibly tragic. But what makes it even more shocking is the fact that this was apparently a targeted attack. That's at least what family members and neighbors of the victims are saying. These are the victims, Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas. Both were 17 years old. They were best friends. They were riding home together on e-bikes in their community of Cranford in northern New Jersey, not far from New York City. All of this took place Tuesday night around 5:30, according to police. WPIX taking an image from their chopper of the crime scene. The girls were on Burnside Avenue. It's a typical suburban street outside the city. The girls riding down the street, and they were struck by a black Jeep Compass, police say. The driver then took off. Here's a picture of what the vehicle looks like. This is an image that was put out by the Union County Prosecutor's Office when they were still searching for the driver. Soon after word of what happened to these young girls went public, neighbors went public with what they say was really going on. That this was a targeted attack by a boy who was allegedly stalking Maria Niotis. Now here's what Maria's uncle put on Facebook saying, quote, "My beautiful young 17-year-old niece was killed." He said the suspect followed her to her house for months. He allegedly harassed her. They say they notified the police many times. He called the suspect a psychopath. In the post, he also says that he hopes the law now does its job. In another post, he says that the suspect watched his niece from a park by their house, and he watched every move she made. He also says he wants the suspect to rot in hell. Neighbors in the town where Maria lived also voiced their concerns about this alleged stalker. It appears everyone knew what was going on, allegedly involving Maria and this boy. It is possible, according to WNBC television, that Maria was in a relationship with this boy and this was potentially over a breakup, or it was over some kind of argument. Now, at the time of this recording, Union County prosecutors have not named the suspect in this case. All we know is that he's 17 years old. This is the news release that they put out yesterday announcing his arrest. The alleged killer now facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. Now, the name of the suspect, again, that's not been made public, and we're waiting to learn more information about him. But as soon as this story went public and chatter started to spread, and remember, so many people in this neighborhood apparently know exactly who this boy is. We're not going to name him until the prosecutors do, but word got to the police chief of Westfield, New Jersey. His name is Chris Badaloro. And he went public on Facebook with this statement, which is very out of the ordinary in cases like this, but potentially speaks to just how much anger there is in these communities for what allegedly happened. Now, this statement on the official Facebook page for the town reads, quote, "While social media has made it known that the accused is related to me, he is not my son and not a member of my immediate family. I want to be clear, as loud and as firm as possible, that in no way do my wife, children, or I condone, defend, or excuse the actions that cause this terrible and tragic loss of life." He said that he remained silent over the past couple of days until charges were filed against the suspect, who he does not name. Now, it's hard to imagine what the families of these victims are going through. Here's a picture posted by Isabella's family. This was just days ago. Their daughter behind the wheel, learning how to drive as so many teenagers do. The caption by her mom reads a moment like this. Maria's obituary says she was born in Greece and she moved to the United States. She was going to high school in the town of Cranford, New Jersey, and once she graduated from that, she was planning to start a career in cosmetology. There is a GoFundMe that has been launched for the girls this week, and it has raised more than $130,000. Join us now to talk about this is retired NYPD detective and co-host of the Gold Shields podcast, Tom Smith. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Just a very sad story here. The suspect, who at the time we're recording this, we know he's 17, but we don't know his name. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. And I know it's different from state to state, but in New Jersey, what does that tell you about the case against him?
Well, it probably lays out the premeditation of it in stalking and watching her and planning this because something didn't go right in their world. And it's just like you said, Chris, an absolutely extremely sad case of something that was so probably preventable that ends up in the death of these 2 young girls.
From the moment that this story broke, and if it was a hit and run, it's still, without the premeditation part of it, it still would be incredibly tragic because of the loss of these 2 young girls who were just going home from a school event on their e-bikes. But it seems like that there was an issue, and the neighborhood knew that he was allegedly stalking her. How do you prevent, and it's hard to say, like, how do you prevent something like this? But if it was reported that they had this issue, I mean, it's not like he had a gun, and that could, a law could stop that. I mean, if he's using his car allegedly to do this, like, how can something like this be prevented?
Yeah, it's a lot of parental and family involvement in continuously calling the police and getting them on the scene and getting them involved. And a possible restraining order is always a, deterrent. Not always the best thing because it's a piece of paper in the eyes of bad guys. And if they're hell-bent on something, they're not going to, regard the restraining order as anything bad. But it is absolutely a tool that can be used. But it's just a continuous police presence in visiting the home of this kid and getting the message through to him that you're doing something illegal and you're going to get, locked up for this. And that's where, parents need to get involved in their kids' lives when something like this happens, and they can handle it has to go out the window.
Yeah, and it seems, I know we've talked a lot of stories. This kid's 17 years old. He's now facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. Obviously he took allegedly 2 lives, but for him, I think of a punishment. If he's tried as an adult, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. What goes into deciding, because I know initially his name is not being released because he's 17 years old. What goes into the decision of whether or not he'll be tried as an adult?
Well, if he's 17 years old, in the eyes of the law, he's an adult. So he's got no leeway there, regardless of what he did. And when it comes to a murder case, he's certainly going to be charged as an adult.
And I just think of this scene, and a lot of it is incredibly morbid. But when you are gathering evidence of a scene like this that played out on this street, what are some of the important pieces that law enforcement needs to have to build a case against this 17-year-old?
Well, there's a lot, Chris, and I'll kind of go through each one in what it means. First thing is an accident scene investigation of any skid marks, any braking marks, of preventing, or trying to stop from hitting them. Camera footage from, everyone's got a Ring camera on their house. So you're going to piece together a number of videos that are going to show this graphic event happening from different angles, from different points of view. Then you're going to get into interviews and interviewing people that might have been there, the actions of the car, what happened afterwards. And then of course you're going to get more into a background investigation with the past of these 2 individuals and what, their relationship was. But at the scene, it's very graphic, and it's a continuous, investigation with those events and those things that are just laid out.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Having the car, which I believe they do have because the suspect is under arrest, I think it's a Jeep Compass. What does that vehicle itself tell you as an investigator?
Well, the damage of it, if there's any GPS tracking in it, where they were, how long they were at in the area, and then where they went afterwards. But the damage of the car is going to play a part in it, what parts were damaged. And like I said before, it's more of the scene that's going to be, taken into place here with skid marks and braking marks and all things like that are going to really play a part in this.
And then when it comes to the premeditation part of it, and we've seen with so many of these suspects, there's a digital background, especially when they're 17 years old. So many of these kids live their lives on computers and online. How do you go about trying to piece together who he is based off of what a digital footprint may look like?
Yeah, you're gonna work backwards. You're gonna go from the date of that event and just continuously work backwards into his social media accounts and hers, and quite possibly their friends as well, to see just this network of communication and what was said. But you're gonna work backwards, and you're gonna keep going, because there's gonna be a lot there. Like you said, these kids today, especially 17 years old, are always communicating with one another with what's going on in their lives and a number of different platforms that they're on. So all of that is going to play a part in this as far as the premeditation goes and the relationships of these people.
He apparently had an infatuation with this girl, Maria, who's one of the victims. We don't know exactly, were they boyfriend, girlfriend, how long the relationship was, but they knew each other to some extent. And he apparently had an infatuation with her. And, I just think that, that such young lives ruined in this story. I guess in your experience in dealing with this, how often does these like teen emotions, love, and all of that come out and end in a way, frankly, as just horrific as this one?
Yeah, maybe not as horrific as this, but you've dealt with ones that, relationships and stalkings and not being able to let go of relationships. And you got to remember, they're 17-year-olds. They don't even know what relationships are yet, or how to handle them, or what love is all about. And they get wrapped up in this, trying to be adults in this adult world, and they just can't process something not working out for them. So that's where the problem lies when it comes to especially kids and teenage kids that are involved in relationships like this.
What is the legal threshold for stalking? So if he is parked, it was reported that neighbors have said he was parked outside the house for several nights, if not weeks, if not longer, I think. But then at the same time, it's a free country. You can go wherever, maybe he just likes parking on that street, could be the argument that a defense attorney would make. What is the legal threshold for something to be considered stalking?
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be, and unfortunately, you're not going to be able to interview the victim in this, but you're going to get into the parents and interviewing them about conversations that took place. How scared was this girl of this guy? And you're going to, like I said, go into interviews of their friends in school, their teachers. Was anything so evident that this girl was so scared, to be around him or near him? That's going to play a major role with the stalking charge. And of course, like we just said, the digital footprint. What was said on those text messages? Were there any threats that were made by him, and how did she take that? So all of that kind of lays on top of one another when it comes to building a stalking case.
And how do you go about getting in, say there was an Instagram and the Instagram was deleted as far as the public, but actually getting that information, learning what his handle would have been? How does law enforcement go about that?
Well, you're gonna conduct a search warrant basically, and you're gonna ask Instagram or Google or whoever is involved with those platforms to cooperate in this case, and you're gonna send them a search warrant for the particular accounts of the people that you want to see into.
Sadly, when you cover crimes, and I think back to when I worked in local news, like sometimes you'll go to a scene like this and nobody wants to talk to you, and you're the guy with the microphone. In this case, it seemed that everybody in the neighborhood was ready to go tell the local media that this is not just a regular hit and run. This was something far more than that. And everybody seemed to know the story as well of what's being alleged. I will say police have yet to confirm a lot of it, but that story's been put out there. What does that tell you about just the willingness of this community and the awareness they have about what they say was far more than just your run-of-the-mill hit and run?
Yeah, you know what? That's a community you want to live in because they're looking out for one another and they're aware of what's going on. The thing is, who did anything about it? That's it's great that everyone came forward after the event and said, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this. But what did they do beforehand to bring it to the attention of local police or the school or anything like that to maybe prevent this? Not laying it on them at all, but, you just want to know if there was that much knowledge of this stalking going on, what was done about it. And you know what? The other thing is, this could be any family. And that's what scares everyone. And that's what's, everyone wants to get what's going on with this, and maybe warning signs and red flags that go up in your own relationships about, what to look out for on a parent level as well. So I think that all plays into it as well.
Well, I think, too, this local police chief from a neighboring town who had been rumored to be related to the suspect, will say, same last name, some have said online, unclear if that's true, but he goes on the official town Facebook page and he says, I am not close to this person whatsoever. Have you ever seen something like that? Because I was like shocked. I had to check 3 times to make sure that there was actually a blue check mark next to this, seeing that this case has created such a stir in North Jersey that you would have a police chief trying to distance himself from it.
Yeah, that's how horrible it is. That's how horrific this is. When you think of what went into this and the violent way these 2 young girls died, I mean, that gets everybody. I don't care who you are, and if you can have a commonality with someone that's involved in this, yeah, you're going to get far away from it as you can because of just how bad it is.
And then just lastly, and sadly, we've talked about a lot of cases involving people who are young and they do something incredibly violent. And I just think he's 17, and then there's a whole bunch of other people within this age group, and people of all ages cause crimes. I get it. And he's accused of one, and we'll see, innocent until proven guilty, of course. But just over your time, have you seen what is the issue here with young people when it comes to, a horrific crime that he is accused of?
Yeah, you know what? Your guess is as good as mine, but it's what other terms do you have? What other ways do you have? There's other ways other than just violence to get past something or get out of something. And somehow, we've done shows together, Chris, these young kids that's their default mechanism is to just do something violent to get out of a situation. And it's not the case. Go to your parents and talk to them. Hey, I'm having a tough time with this. A teacher, a coach, or mentor, a sibling, anybody, to just try to talk more than just actions. Actions are taking over way too easy when it comes to these cases, where a simple conversation with an adult or with someone you look up to can prevent something like this. And I think that just needs to be out there more.
And once we learn this suspect's name, it'll be interesting. But I just think, and this is probably more of a question, for a prosecutor, and they'd be the one who has to prepare for a defense. But I think if you have the vehicle, you have potentially him driving the vehicle, it may not be much of a whodunit. What would the defense be for something like this? And I know that's the question for the defense attorney that will defend him, but at this point, you would have to think it's a pretty strong case that investigators would have.
Yeah, they're going to do their job. As horrific as cases are, defense attorneys have a job to do, and they're going to bring up certain things, maybe how certain evidence was collected. Was there any, bullying going on, or, stuff like that in interviews. So there's going to be a lot that the defense attorney is going to try to do. But in the end, you can't get away from the evidence. You can't get away from the actions of what was happening. So, is a plea deal in the works, really quick to prevent or, stay away from a trial that the parents would have to go through. So, I could see a quick end to this. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, just can't think of the parents, what they're going through, for this to take place. We'll see how the legal process plays out. Retired NYPD Detective Tom Smith, the co-host of the Gold Shields podcast. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Chris. Thank you.
We will keep a close eye on this story as we continue to work to learn the name of the suspect in this case.
Do you need medical attention?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Please.
She's over there. She has a baby.
Mariah, can I
Stay
go?
here with her. No. Move away. Move away.
Ma'am. Ma'am.
I'm right here. I'm not
Okay,
going
I know you're not going anywhere. Can you put your phone up for a second, please? What's your name?
Oh my God. Please. I'm sorry. I'm trying to take video proof. Please find my homegirl. Please.
I need you to tell me your name before we go with anything else. What's your name? So why were you guys fighting?
Because. She's overthinking things.
What do you mean she's overthinking things?
Between me and her husband. And I don't have nothing to do with her husband.
Okay.
All I was doing was on the phone with my mom while he was outside smoking a cigarette. And she was thinking me and him were doing something.
Okay.
While I was on the phone with my mom.
Okay, are you guys all staying here?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And I had the baby the whole time.
And she came after you while you had the baby?
Yes.
Okay, so
And
where's the
she
baby
hit
now?
me while I had the baby, while I was carrying the baby.
Okay, so where's the baby now?
That's what I'm trying to find out. But y'all not fucking letting me take off and look for the baby.
No, we're not letting you take off. We need you to tell us which way she
Can y'all
went.
please at least go look for her, please?
Can you calm down and tell me which way she went?
No, I can't calm down because it's a 9-year-old month baby.
Okay,
I'm
a 9-month-old baby. Which way did she go?
She took off right over there, please.
All right, have a seat right here. Tell the officer.
I'm okay. I'm good. She's the one that hit me first.
Okay, yeah, that's why I wanted, hey, look at me, listen, that's why I'm just looking at your injuries, okay? That's all that's going on right now, alright?
Okay.
Here, have a seat, take a breath, we got, listen, we got 3 officers over there looking, alright? Alright?
Can I ask you what room number you're in, ma'am?
Hey, we're fucking in trouble, Mike. Like, oh fuck, like, yeah, she hit me in the fucking face, so I hit her back. While I was holding Israel, bro, like, she's fucking out of there, mad as fuck, saying that me and you were something else. I don't fucking know what the fuck is going on in her head, bro. But it's fucked up. Like, I'm with the cops right now. I'm with the cops legit right now. They're fucking, I don't know. They're just fucking asking too many fucking questions. Looking for Mariah. Apparently they fucking have her and shit. But they're questioning me because I got her blood on me and shit.
Well, we're just talking to you right now.
Man.
We're just trying to figure out what went on.
Mariah took off with Azrael. She fucking took off with him. She was fucking mad. As soon as we legit supposedly got out of the camera, she legit yanked him out of my hands and fucking took off with him. Talking about that's her fucking baby and shit.
Whose baby is it?
It's her baby.
Okay.
Dude, I don't know where she's at. I don't know. Alright, I got it. Alright, babe. I got you. Just text me, please. Alright, babe. Bye.
Alright. So, Alexandra, this is what I need from you, alright?
Alright.
I need you to just tell me what went on. Like, what's going on right now?
Really, what just happened, me and her just had a disagreement. That's
Is she
all
like
it
your
was.
sister, or?
Yeah, she's my sister.
Okay.
She's my sister. That's all it was. It was just a disagreement.
Okay.
But she just really felt very offended, and I understand her part, but it never played off like that. I promise, it never played off like that.
Okay.
So she got mad at me. The baby started crying. I picked him up. She's telling me she's gonna leave. I'm like, how are you gonna leave? Keep in mind, we're all from another state, you know. So
What state y'all from?
we're just from out of state, and she
Like
took
what
the baby
state?
out.
Like what state specifically?
Well, really, we just. Can I tell you the story?
Yeah, but like, just what state
Can I
are
tell
y'all
you the
from?
story,
Alright, yeah,
please?
sure, go ahead.
So, she just
No.
took off with the baby. Really, it was just a disagreement. She just felt offended. It was
Okay.
just all.
Alright, cool. Alexandra, do you have an ID anywhere near you? Probably
No,
not.
I
Okay.
don't.
So what state are you from?
I'm from Texas.
From Texas, okay. Do you mind giving me like your full name real quick?
I don't really want to.
Well, you don't really have a choice. Like, you have to identify yourself.
I don't have to.
No, Alexandra, I'm gonna save you potentially some trouble right now. It's Florida
Well,
State
like,
law.
you're
Listen to me,
asking too much.
Alexandra. Listen to me, because I've been very
don't have to
courteous
raise
with you.
my
'Cause I've been very
No,
courteous with you.
I just wanna
okay,
know
listen,
if she's okay.
Listen,
Where is
we'll let
she?
you know. Identify yourself, okay?
I already did. It's
No, you didn't.
Alexandra.
Okay, I need to know your full name.
Where is she? Can you at least tell me
I'll
where
be happy
she's
to tell you
at?
that as soon as you give me your name.
I do you do. No, I'm kidding. Can you please tell me where she's at? Mariah, where are you at?
Hey. Hey, can you hang up?
No.
No, I'm asking you to.
Give us the phone.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh my God, why are you acting like that?
You don't put your hands on me.
Oh,
You don't put your hands on me.
I didn't put my hands on
Good.
you.
Can you
Stop
grab yours?
resisting and follow instructions.
Why are you acting like that towards me?
Stop pulling away from me.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not. No, please
Stop
don't.
pulling away.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm not.
You need to stop resisting and tensing up. Yep.
I promise. No.
Sorry.
I wasn't.
Okay, have a seat, Alexandra.
But I wasn't.
Have a seat. Have a seat.
No,
Have a seat now. Alexandra.
I have a bad leg. Hold
Okay.
on. I have a bad leg.
Jesse, are you primary on this?
I wasn't resisting.
Oh, you actually were. Yeah. You still got my pat? Thank you. That's what I tried to save the trouble of happening.
But I didn't.
Between you not wanting to give your name, you tensing up, you
But
pulling
I
away
gave
from
you
me,
my name,
and on
didn't
top
I?
of that, you grabbed my arm. And I know that don't fly in
Did I?
Texas, and it sure as hell don't fly here.
But like.
No, there ain't no Bud Light.
Disrespect.
There ain't no Bud Light.
Hey, man. Did I don't know. I was trying to find.
You got this thing.
86. I got
Is she
110.15.
okay? Where is she at least? Can I at least know?
She's safe. That's all you need to know right now.
But like, is she like, where is she? Is she in the cop car? Where's the baby? Where's the baby?
She is safe, and the baby is safe with her.
But where is the baby?
You don't need to know that right now.
Please? I do. I'm very worried. Oh my God, no.
I really hope you gave me your real
okay.
name.
You don't gotta tell me shit.
No, I really hope you gave me a real name.
If I touched your hand, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Okay, well that's why you're in
man.
cuffs right now.
Okay, I get it, nigga. Like, goddamn, like, come on now, like.
Alexandria, how do you spell your first name?
I'm sorry, no disrespect, but I really don't want to talk to you.
You're kind of you're
No, but I have the right to not
that's
talk.
absolutely fine.
You're gonna
That's
get
another
You're gonna get
charge.
another charge. You
That's
gotta identify yourself.
obstruction.
That's another charge, so keep going.
Do you have a middle name?
I don't.
Not only that, they won't let you out of jail until you physically identify yourself. We'll book you under Jane Doe, and you'll stay there as long as it takes. So have it your way. You're only making
Is
it
the
harder on
baby
yourself.
safe? I would like to know. I would love to know if the baby.
Okay, right now you need to answer the questions that we're asking you.
Yeah.
But I would
There's
really
officers
like
with-
to know if
the-
the baby's safe.
Yes, the baby is safe. I told you that a few minutes ago.
But like, where is he? Can I
That
specifically
right now that doesn't
know?
matter.
Like, who is he? Like,
What matters
with?
right now is you
Who is
identifying
he
yourself.
with?
You
Who
need to
is he
identify yourself.
with?
Okay. Just book her under Jane Doe, and she'll stay at the jail for as long as it takes. That's fine. So if that's what we're just gonna do, we'll just do it. It's another charge, and they
I mean,
won't let
but
you out
that's
of
how
jail.
y'all want to play off, right? I'm just trying to play.
It's not playing.
No, but
This
I'm.
is how it's
no.
happening.
All I'm asking is, where's the baby?
Okay,
told you the
we've
baby's
been
safe.
asking you to identify
But I
yourself
want
for
to
a long
know
time.
who is the baby with?
With an officer.
With an officer?
Yes.
And where is my homegirl?
Like I said, right now that's irrelevant. Right now,
No, but I want
this okay, done.
No,
It's that
take her
simple.
And And if she doesn't identify herself, book her under Jane Doe and she won't be able to be released. That's it. She had every chance in the world. Time to go. I'll grab her phone.
That's what's up, though. I hope you get married.
Catching extra charges? That's what's up? Sounds real cool.
I'm gonna put this on your front seat.
Okay.
I don't have shit on me, bro. I was literally running out of the hotel room. Nice. Fucking nice. You got my phone, right?
Yeah.
Please.
Is yours just like over
You
her?
gotta put a seatbelt on me too.
Okay. Do me a favor, lean back. Do me a favor, lean back. Thank you.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
For real?
Yeah, it's for real what happens when you don't identify yourself in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Who are you? Is it your child?
I'm a stepdad.
Okay. So we need to get some information from...
Yes.
This is the stepdad, I guess.
I'm the
You know
stepdad, yeah.
the other party's name?
No, not yet.
Alexandra Saldivar, that's her best friend, and her name is Mariah Salazar. Honestly, they've been jealous. My wife has been jealous that I'm messing with her friend, but I've been pure myself. And they're just having their, I don't know, arguments. She called me, she said she had a fight. I was hanging out to Duval. And
Oh, so you weren't here for this whole
no, I
incident?
mean, I was earlier here when they were arguing. I was like, I'm out of here, like, you know? Because she slapped me in my face slightly. I'm not going to press any charge, she's my wife. And as soon as she touched my face, I was little drinking, I was out. And she calls me like an hour later and she tells me that cops there. Took me like about 45 minutes to walk here.
What?
I already identified myself with one officer.
Yeah.
Y'all have cameras, right?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all can look back at
Are you gonna?
it, right?
Can I talk to you for a second?
Of course.
Okay, well,
I'm
that's
cooperating, but I'm
You're not cooperating at all.
But like, you have to understand that I'm very worried.
Okay, if you'll listen to me for a minute, we ran your name, the name you gave us, and nothing came back. So that's why I was confirming the spelling and everything was correct, and you refused to give it to me. So guess what?
Look at my chain. I got my name on
Okay.
my neck. Look.
This is for my education. Could we release the baby to a step-parent?
Yeah.
If, I mean,
And then-
they're legally married. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he would be a legal guardian.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
And then I think...
I didn't know if there was something...
Is the mother... I think that... Is your wife's mother here with y'all too?
Grandma left yesterday.
Okay. So who's all in the room?
It's me, her, Alexandra, and Israel, which is the infant.
The baby. Okay.
Yes.
And you all live together?
Yeah, we all live together. We came here for like a business trip slash a vacation. We're checking out a sandbar for sale here actually, and the baby's coffee shop. And we're here like for 3 nights.
Ma'am, you want to tell me what happened?
Me and my friend got into an altercation, sir. And pretty much we got into a fist fight. The baby was asleep and he woke up. I pretty much tried to take her away from him and we fought. She hit me and...
So the baby woke up while you guys were fighting.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what started this fight?
Jealousy.
Okay, and then how did it start?
Arguing.
Okay, you were arguing, and then what happened?
About a past situation. We were arguing about a past situation, and then one thing led to another. One thing led to another, and my baby woke up. She got him off the bed, and then I ended up like getting him from her, sir. And then that's when security came, and he said, "So call the cops," and they came, sir. Anywhere I can get inside the water.
Can you spread your
When you get there,
feet,
once they get
spread
you
your
hooked
feet?
in, they'll get you some water.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, she's good.
Okay. Thank you.
One for the books, bitch. Key West. That's what the fuck it is, nigga. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Hey, hey. Oh, fuck it. It's all good. Can I at least know why I'm going in?
For battery and for resisting.
Battery? What did I...
County, one adult female on board, copy beginning.
Battery? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
21987.6. 21987.6.
You said battery. I didn't have no item on me or anything.
Advise the jail that we'll be coming with 2 female 10-15s. They're going to be keepaways.
That's all you, right? That's all you, bitch. Hey, you said battery and resistance, right?
Yep.
What's battery? I'm sorry.
It's in Texas. They might the same thing as assault.
Assault? I'm sorry, assault? What? Assault? Assault on what?
On your friend.
Assault on my friend? Really? So I was the...
Amanda Gregor is a 37-year-old woman who appears to have worked in the healthcare field at one point in time. She is accused of seriously injuring her best friend's 1-year-old baby girl. The baby, Layla, has horrific injuries, including a brain bleed, and is being treated at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center. She is fighting for her life and was placed on a ventilator, but now she's been able to come off that ventilator, according to a post on Facebook. Layla's mom, Melissa Bilby, she's a single mom and has 4 children, and Layla is the youngest. And she was working an overnight shift, according to police, when the baby was injured. This case is out of Goshen, Ohio. It's a community outside of Cincinnati. The investigation started on November 10th when Layla's mother came home and found her injured. The complaint is redacted, but I was able to fill in the blanks based on what we know about these allegations. An officer wrote, on November 10th, 2025, Cincinnati Children's Hospital contacted the Goshen Township Police Department to report suspected child abuse at a home on Woodville Pike, Goshen Township, Claremont County, Ohio. On that same date, the baby was brought to Cincinnati Children's Hospital by a person whose name is redacted, likely her mother. According to hospital staff, Layla presented with an altered mental status and several visible injuries, including blood seeping from Layla's right eye, and was found to have had a brain bleed. During the course of the investigation, the following information was obtained. Layla's mother had left her in the care of Amanda Gregor during the overnight hours of November 9th, 2025. When the mom returned home from work the following morning, she found Layla asleep with abrasions to her lip. She was lethargic and unable to wake. Amanda was also in the bedroom when Layla's injuries were discovered and was observed wearing a hoodie covered in what appeared to be blood and vomit. A search warrant was obtained and executed at the residence at Woodville Pike. During the search of the home, blood stains were located throughout the room. The clothing Layla had been wearing was found in the washing machine, washed but still visibly stained. Layla's mom confirmed the clothing was what Layla had been wearing prior to Layla's injuries. Now, Amanda Gregor, she was taken into custody and charged with child endangering and tampering with evidence. Here's video of Gregor being booked into the jail in Claremont County, Ohio, just east of Cincinnati.
Have you recently attempted suicide?
Suicide watch?
Do you have any serious medical or mental health issues that you immediately addressed?
Oh, I guess I don't need to.
Do they have to confront you to get your handcuffs?
Gregor appeared in court to answer to the charges, and the prosecutor offered more details about the allegations. Take a look.
The defendant told police she had consumed a lot of vodka that evening, unsure of the actual amount, was using THC and was on unprescribed muscle relaxers, and did it, but doesn't remember what she did.
Gregor stood in the courtroom wearing an orange jumpsuit as the prosecutor detailed how Layla's mother found her.
When the mother came home the next morning from work, she came home to a horror scene no parent ever wants to experience. The defendant was in the bedroom with the baby, standing over the baby.
This is every mom's worst nightmare. Baby Layla's family shared this photo of her with a local news outlet. She was placed on a ventilator at the hospital. Now get this, the prosecutor says that when Amanda Gregor was interviewed by police, she said, "Right, I know that about the baby's injuries. A baby just doesn't end up injured for no reason." And she added, "If I can do something like that and not remember, maybe I am a monster." So I want to bring in Mark Weaver to discuss this case and the horrible, absolutely awful allegations here. Mark, you work as a prosecutor in the state of Ohio. You sometimes work as a judge. This is a horrific case with a horrific set of allegations. This poor little baby, Layla, is in the hospital, fighting for her life at Children's Hospital in Cincinnati. And she, it sounds like she's making some good progress, but may not be out of the woods yet. What is your take on the allegations here from what we're reading in the complaint?
Yeah, the evidence is stunning. Every parent would be mortified to learn that the person who they trusted their child with has abused this child, and the injuries to this baby are difficult to read. The evidence tells a story of a babysitter who clearly committed heinous physical abuse against this baby. There's blood at the scene. There's attempts to wash the blood away in the laundry. The babysitter says she didn't remember what happened, but she was clear of mind enough to go and wash the evidence away. We may never know exactly what happened, particularly if this woman was under some influence of drugs or alcohol. But under the law, voluntary intoxication or being under drugs is not a defense to any crime. So luckily, there's not much luck in a case like this, but luckily the crime scene and the evidence builds enough of a case for a jury to want to convict this person, probably of second-degree felony, felonious assault, and also probably an additional charge of tampering with evidence.
What's so horrifying to me about this is that Amanda Gregor was apparently a very good friend of Layla's mother. And so Layla's mom is working long hours, and she leaves her daughter, from everything we're finding out, with her good friend, thinking, my beautiful baby girl is going to be with my friend who's going to love her and care for her, as much as I do. And the allegation here is that she goes to work and she comes home and she finds blood on the walls, and her baby is a mess. Like, she won't wake up. I mean, that's what's so stunning to me about this. I mean, it could happen even if she left her baby with a family member. But this is somebody who she trusted as her friend to care for her baby. And it sounds like, from what we're seeing too, Amanda Gregor works in the healthcare field, or at least did at some point in time, and was a nurse of some sort. So you've got that aspect of it too. I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah, my heart goes out to this mother. She's a single mom. I think she has 4 children. This is the youngest of the children. Single moms often have to go out and work, and they need childcare, and it's tough. And she turned to somebody she trusted, and she took her most valuable person in her life, the most loving and vulnerable person in her life, one of her children, the youngest, and put her in the care of this person. All of us who have children have had to bring a babysitter in, and we all hope for the best. This is just one of those tragic outcomes, and there's going to have to be a serious prosecution with a serious punishment for what is a very troubling outcome. I'm hoping and praying that this child's going to come through this. Children can be resilient, and she's certainly being cared for in one of the best children's hospitals in the country. So all of us should be hoping and praying for an outcome for this child and justice to be done with this, what appears to be an abuser.
I want to go through the complaint, just a little bit. I'll put it up on the screen here. And basically, the allegation, according to the complaint, was that mom comes home and she finds Layla with an altered mental status, several visible injuries, including blood seeping from her right eye. And she was found to have a brain bleed. That to me says some type of injury, obviously, to the head. And then they say during the course of the investigation, they found that mom just leaves Layla with Amanda Greger in the overnight hours. And when she returned home from work the following morning, she finds her daughter asleep. She's got abrasions to her lip. I mean, it sounds like this baby was just like beaten. She's lethargic and unable to wake. And she finds this woman, Amanda, standing over her child in the bedroom. I mean, the prosecutor described this as her mom walking into a horror scene. I mean, can you even imagine, Mark? I mean, and it sounds like they find the clothes in the washer. So this baby was brutally abused, according to the prosecution, while mom's at work, and she walks in seeing this woman standing over her.
Yeah, prosecutors will need to bring significant medical experts to testify about this. There won't be any witnesses. The defendant will almost certainly not take the stand and testify. I doubt there was video surveillance in the house. But there's a concept in law, we get it from tort law, but it applies elsewhere, called res ipsa loquitur, Latin for the thing speaks for itself, which means we can deduce from a set of facts what happened. And in this case, we can deduce from this set of facts that this caregiver abused the child. Now, some of these symptoms are consistent with shaken baby. When a baby is being violently shaken because they're crying or otherwise annoying the caregiver, it's the abrasions on the lips that makes this a little different, because normally shaking a baby, which is a horrible thing to do, you never shake a baby, creates internal injuries in the head. Abrasion to the lip suggests that there was either some punching, hitting, or dropping the baby on some sort of surface that would cause the abrasions.
It certainly does. There's some information floating around out there on Facebook that the baby Layla has been taken off a ventilator. That's good news that she's been able to come off of that. But that doesn't mean that there won't be potentially lasting impacts from these injuries.
Oh, for sure. Babies are, I mentioned earlier, they're resilient, but they're also growing so quickly at this age that any damage to these tissues or some of the connections in the brain could have long-term effects. Like I said, I'm hopeful and praying that this child will be able to fully recover, but this is serious stuff. And that's why we take child abuse cases so seriously as prosecutors. And it's the kind of cases that gets me the most angry and wants me to spend as much time as I can to ensure justice for these victims.
Right now, the charges as they stand, we have a child endangering charge. We have tampering with evidence charges. These are just the initial charges after Amanda Greger's arrest. Things can often change when you go to grand jury. Do you see potentially additional charges being added based on what we know, or do you think that these will remain the same?
I think this will likely wind up with a second-degree felony, felonious assault, or aggravated child abuse. We're all hoping and praying this child does not die. Obviously, if the child were to die, it would be a horrible tragedy, and these charges would be upgraded then. But as the investigation continues, other things will come out. And having spoken to a lot of grand juries over the years, I'm here to tell you that the grand jurors will be furious about this case. And I've been in grand juries where the grand jurors have said to me, what other charges can you bring? I'll bring them a certain couple charges I think they should indict on. And there are times when grand jurors hear the facts and say, please give us any other charges you can, because we want to indict this person on additional charges.
That's really interesting because Amanda Greger is, allegedly, they're going to take obviously they took blood from her after this to see what drugs she had in her system. She made an admission about taking these drugs, the painkillers that were not prescribed for her, along with the THC and drinking vodka. I mean, does that enhance the charge in your mind, or is that an aggravating factor to any charge, or does that enhance the culpability?
Yeah, it certainly shows recklessness. If there had not been serious damage to the child, then this would make it easier to bring the charge up. But it's the damage it's the physical injury to the child that raises this up to the level of at least a second-degree felony. And so the charge is pretty serious as it is. You can serve up to 8 years in prison for a second-degree felony, and then I think it's a third-degree felony for the tampering with evidence. So those charges could be stacked. So this woman could be serving a very long prison sentence. And the investigation's just starting. And I'm going to imagine these investigators feel motivated to look as deeply as they can into this woman's life to see if there are other things that would indicate she's violated the law. And so I would not be surprised to see additional charges.
Well, we will definitely keep an eye on it. It's a horrible case. And this poor little baby and her family, we hope that, she does recover and can live a normal life, as normal of a life as a child can after sustaining injuries such as these. Mark Weaver, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
A sad case. Thank you for having me on.
It just so happens that right after I spoke with Mark Weaver, the grand jury in Claremont County, Ohio, indicted Amanda Greger on that felonious assault charge, just as Mark had predicted. So now she faces 9 charges, including felonious assault, child endangering, and tampering with evidence. She faces up to 23 years in prison if she's convicted. Now, as I mentioned, Layla's mother, Melissa, is a single mom with 4 children, and a GoFundMe page has been set up to help her out with expenses. It reads, Joey's sister Melissa has been at Children's Hospital with her daughter Layla since Monday morning due to the severe trauma to her little 1-year-old's body. She was admitted to the PICU with a brain bleed, bruised lungs, fluid along her spine, and fluid around her heart. She was intubated, then later placed on a ventilator, and she is being kept heavily sedated to help her heal. Melissa gets told every day that this will be a long process, several weeks to maybe months. Melissa was working Sunday night and left her with a lifetime friend that she trusted to protect her and keep her kids safe while she worked to provide for them. While this is all under investigation, we do have faith that justice will be served for Layla. Melissa will be out of work for an extended period of time while she is with Layla in the hospital. She hasn't left her side and doesn't plan to until she gets to come home. Please consider donating to help offset the cost of any bills that will begin piling up: mortgage, utilities, food, repairs to replace carpet that was removed during the investigation, etc. Melissa is a single mother of 4 children. Please continue to pray for Layla, Melissa, and her 3 kids. And here's another look at the body-worn camera footage of Amanda Greger being booked into the jail.
Have you recently attempted suicide?
Suicide watch.
Do you have any serious medical or mental health issues that you immediately addressed?
I guess I don't need to.
Do they have to invite you to get in handcuffs?
Amanda Greger remains in the Claremont County Jail in lieu of a $500,000 bond. Charges will be presented to the grand jury at a later date, and we'll keep you posted on this case and little Layla's recovery.
To have a young son brutally murdered is unfathomable.
A Georgia man who was once a haunted house scare actor will spend the rest of his life in prison for the gruesome and horrific murder of his own best friend.
Brandon knew how much Aaron's siblings needed and loved him, but Brandon stabbed Aaron to death. Made him suffer first with that knowledge that Aaron was so needed.
The psychological scars from betrayal from one who we treated like a son or brother is irreparable.
23-year-old Brandon Reisner pleaded guilty last month to charges including malice murder, felony murder, assault, battery, concealing the death of another, and removal of body parts from the scene of a death. Reisner was convicted of stabbing and disemboweling his friend 21-year-old Aaron William Davis. The two were close friends. They went to the same high school and attended the same church. The two would eventually move across the country to attend BYU, Idaho. And while Reisner only attended the school for the fall semester of 2021, Aaron graduated from the university with a political science degree in June of 2022. But by the late fall of that year, everything would change. On November 11th of 2022, Aaron stayed the night with Reisner at his home in Rome, Georgia, while on his way to visit his girlfriend in Alabama, but tragically never would make it to see his girlfriend. Aaron's family would call authorities to report him missing, and during the search for the 21-year-old, police would discover Aaron's car in a ditch near a local park. That clue would lead them to Reisner's home, which would unearth more chilling details. According to prosecutors, Reisner stabbed Aaron 40 times. Then Reisner attempted to dismember his body. Reisner also tried to cover up the murder by putting his friend's body in a suitcase and into the trunk of his car before burying Aaron in a shallow, unmarked grave and ditching the car behind a levee in a local park. After the murder and attempted cover-up, Reisner fled before ultimately turning himself in. Years later, in June of 2024, Reisner pleaded guilty to the horrific crime. During his sentencing hearing, prosecutors revealed more gruesome details into the murder.
So a total of 40 stab wounds, 6 to his head, 4 to his neck, 21 to the torso, 2 to the left upper extremity, and 7 to the right upper extremity. There was also attempted dismemberment around his abdomen and around one of his arms and shoulder area, but we believe that the dismemberment happened after. I do have a few photos, not many, just to show some of these injuries, because I'm going to talk about the level of hemorrhage associated with the injuries. So this is the front and back of Aaron. The injuries have been labeled by the medical examiner with the letter system. And I did want to, there's significant injuries to the neck, both in the front and the back. There are also injuries down along this side. Those begin with I and go into JKL. And I'll show a different angle of those later. But I also want to highlight that there are not injuries on Aaron's hands. Aaron didn't have any defensive wounds. Aaron didn't see this coming. Aaron didn't defend himself. This was not a case of mutual combat or anything like that. He does not have any defensive marks on his hands. Here's a side view of those wounds that I mentioned, I, J, K, L, M, and N. And I'm going to put up a diagram now that shows these injuries, but on a drawing instead of the autopsy photos. So this is color-coded. Pink means that there is hemorrhage, and what hemorrhage indicates is that Aaron's heart was beating, and so his blood was pumping through his body. So those injuries that I talked about on the side over here that we saw a picture of a moment ago, those all have pink. So his heart was beating, his blood was pumping. Also those neck injuries that I pointed out, same thing, on here and here and here. A pink, meaning his heart was beating. Most of the colors on here are pink. The orange means minimal hemorrhage. It means that the level of hemorrhage was less, most likely because the heart was beating less, or it was beating slower. In other words, Aaron was dying at that point. So orange means he was still alive, but his heartbeat was weaker and slower. No color on the chart means that there was no hemorrhage. It doesn't necessarily mean post-mortem, but it does mean that his heart wasn't beating at a level to cause a hemorrhage. Most of the marks on here are color-coded. And what that means is that Aaron was alive when this happened. And for the majority of these horrific wounds, Aaron's heart was beating and there was hemorrhage and he was alive. And then the next level of wounds shows again the orange hemorrhage, meaning his heartbeat was slower, it was weaker at that point. I will point out that these shaded areas are parts of the dismemberment that we saw in the autopsy photos as well. And again, that is believed to have happened post-mortem or after Aaron's death. Also, part of the autopsy, a portion of the small intestine was missing, and it's believed that it was removed through this area of dismemberment there.
The Floyd County Assistant District Attorney also revealed to the judge disturbing searches Reisner made on the web.
So in this one, and these start over here and go in this direction, So this is on November 11th, Friday. At this point, Aaron is dead. The defendant has already killed Aaron. And he is searching over and over for sheets and blankets. More than 20 searches for sheets and blankets. What he's trying to do is find a replacement for the sheets and blanket that Aaron is ultimately going to be buried in. He's trying to find a replacement set so that the bedroom will appear unchanged, and again to cover up his crime. These are his searches on that day continued, and I'll highlight just a few of them. Professional stain remover. Does Walmart have duct tape? Schizophrenia symptoms. Hydrochloric acid. Best secluded locations. How to drain washing machine. And more searches for the sheets and blanket. And all of these indicate that he is trying to cover up his crime. He's looking for stain remover to try to get the blood out of the carpet. He ultimately does go to Walmart later that day, around 6 p.m., and he does purchase duct tape, and he uses that duct tape to wrap Aaron in the blankets that he's ultimately buried in. Hydrochloric acid is famous because Jeffrey Dahmer used that on some of his victims. That was a search that the defendant made on best secluded locations. Ultimately, he buried Aaron in a secluded location, so that was part of his search of what to do with the body. So at this point, he has not buried Aaron because he doesn't have the duct tape and he hasn't found the location yet. And how to drain a washing machine, we know from officers that the next day they're going to discover bloody sheets in the washing room. And so he's already concerned because he's been using the washing machine to try to clean these things. Also, in between his searches to cover up his crime, he's also watching videos from No Country for Old Men, which is a horror movie that focuses on a murderer. That's the main character, and his violent crimes and as he goes out. And one of the videos that the defendant specifically watches is a scene where the murderer has been injured and he needs to go to a pharmacy. So he blows up a car to create a distraction to go into a pharmacy. The defendant was also injured at this time. He's later going to search on for what to do about the cut on his finger. But just interesting that in between all of these searches about what to do with his best friend's body, he's also watching videos from a horror movie about a violent killer. All right, and so on Saturday, November 12th, he is still looking up carpet cleaning crew, also water damage restoration, and a company called Chattanooga Blood Spill Cleanup, and how to clean blood out of carpet. So there's the Chattanooga blood spill, how to clean blood out of carpet. In the days leading up to this, he had some interesting internet searches as well. One of those was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest book. It's a famous book, but the premise is that the person is going to be convicted of a serious crime, and so they feign insanity in order to go to a mental institution instead of prison. He also looks up multiple times 10 tips for dealing with guilt. And then there's some typos in this, but what I believe it is trying to say is tricks to feel less guilty.
According to prosecutors, those weren't the only chilling web searches Reisner made. Assistant District Attorney Leah Mayo told the court Reisner also made a post-murder to-do list. But the state also revealed music lyrics posted to Reisner's YouTube channel, which contained shocking lyrics seemingly referencing Aaron's gruesome murder.
When I Get Home, schedule last 3 songs. That is a reference to his YouTube channel where he did post music. He wrote quite a few songs and performed them and had some of them on a YouTube channel. Number 2, vacuum. Number 3, laundry. Number 4, shower in my shower. That's important because Aaron was dismembered in the guest shower, so he's making a reminder to himself to shower in his own shower and not the shower he used to attempt to dismember his best friend's body. He also says to take a bath, so again, a preoccupation with cleaning, possibly to try to remove evidence that may still be on his body. And again, vacuum and laundry, these are related again to his attempt to cover up. But then he also he makes a written reminder to basically create an alibi defense via text to his stepmother, Rachel, by saying, text Rachel that Aaron threw up horribly. I think there was some blood in it. I woke up and he was gone. So he actually wrote down what his cover story was going to be in this post-murder to-do list. And we know from his phone records that he actually called Rachel that following morning. So he did follow his own to-do list in that regard. So the way notes are organized on the phone is the most recently edited appear first. So this one actually was on top of the post-murder to-do list, which means it had been edited or looked at or worked on after that. And since we know that the post-murder to-do list had been created after the murder, this also was created after the murder. This appears to be some of his lyrics for a song. And the ones I want to highlight are right here. He screamed till he choked on his own tongue and blood. His scream became a gargle as he swallowed his tongue. I believe the defendant is describing Aaron's death. His scream became a gargle as he swallowed his own tongue. If you'll remember in his to-do list, the very first one was about his music. Music was clearly very important to the defendant. And so this was a newer song, but he also had some of his older songs that he had created prior to the murder. And I've pulled one of those here. It's entitled What You Do. And I'll highlight what I think is important here. It doesn't matter what you do. Go kill someone, go love someone. You can't plan the future. God decided it for you. It's fine to think that I'm just a little toy. And if these are indicative of his philosophy, that is a dangerous philosophy. It is one that shirks all accountability. If there's no free will and everything is predestined, then there's also no consequences for actions, and there's also no reason to ever exercise restraint. And so that is a dangerous philosophy. And it also is a philosophy that doesn't demonstrate remorse. There's no remorse in that type of philosophy because it doesn't matter.
The state then called Aaron's loved ones to give victim impact statements. One of the loved ones included Charlie Girl Skellinger, Aaron's girlfriend, who gave a heart-wrenching account on losing the love of her life.
Aaron Davis was and is the love of my life. I will never be the same for having known him. He loved me and I loved him. I could tell you 100 love stories and it would not do justice to how wonderful he was. No one has ever understood me quite like he did. To him, I was seen for my soul. His death shattered me. I was a fragment of who I am. When I received the news that Aaron was dead after running all through Rome in the freezing cold looking for my love, I collapsed outside of a gas station in front of an ice machine, and I could not stop screaming. That first night, I slept in my mom's bed. I couldn't sleep without waking myself up crying. I couldn't be alone in the dark anymore because I would see Brandon's face lurking around dark corners. It was a blow when we found out Aaron's personal items were missing. We never got Aaron's phone back. I've had nightmares about it since that day. Losing someone's phone feels like losing another little piece of them. Aaron and I had special bracelets with the planets on them we got for our 3-month anniversary. He kept his bracelet in his car because he wanted to be able to wear it every time we were together. Aaron was infamous for his bright shirts and sense of style, and some of his most iconic ones were packed for the weekend we had just planned that day. These items with so much sentimental value are lost to us. I had hinged so much of my healing on being able to see Aaron's body one more time, and another blow came when we were denied that opportunity for our own good. The damage to his body was too much. I never got to say goodbye. I never got to hold his hand or touch his face one more time, or touch his hair or hug him. I got to kiss a cold casket and hope that he knew how dearly I loved him. We had so many plans for our future and the life we were building together. Thanksgivings and Christmases, family traditions. We wanted to go to the beach together. It was his favorite place. He was one of the most wonderful people to be around. We wanted to have kids and raise them together. He especially wanted a daughter. He loved the idea of all the little experiences that would come with being a girl dad. We talked about being in the delivery room and him getting to do skin-to-skin contact and having that bonding moment. We wanted a wedding where both of our families could be together to celebrate, to be there for our first dance. We wanted to be married for time and eternity. But because of a man he called his best friend, who surely would have been one of his groomsmen, Aaron and I will never have these opportunities. It has been torture to live with this new reality. I met Aaron a little over 2 years ago now, and I am still as in love with him as I was the first time I told him I loved him. I don't know that I'll ever be able to move on, to live with the guilt being the only one living our shared dreams.
Then Aaron's father, Randy Davis, spoke to the judge, recalling the nightmare his family has gone through since Aaron's death.
On November 12, 2022, I received a call from the Rome Police Department that my car that my son Aaron had been using was found in a ravine here in Rome, Georgia. As far as we knew, Aaron should have been at his girlfriend's house in Alabama the day before, so this was certainly unexpected. Since Aaron was staying in Rome the night of November 10th at the home of Brandon Reisner, I called Brandon immediately to let him know and asked him if he knew why the car would be there. Brandon acted concerned and mentioned that Aaron had stayed an extra day in Rome, and then he noticed that he had left sometime during the night before. With a few additional phone calls, Brandon added speculation as to what might have happened or where he may have been going, such as going home to receive that Nintendo Switch game system that was mentioned previously. He also mentioned to me that Aaron may have been suicidal and tried to kill himself. Brandon even came down to the site where the car was found and attempted to search for Aaron.
Then Aaron's father spoke on the goals Aaron had for himself as a fresh graduate from college.
He had just come home and was so excited. He just felt like he had just kind of hit that check mark where he was ready to launch off into life. He decided that he wasn't convinced yet that law school was for him, and so but he thought he would be a great teacher. So the morning before driving to Rome, he had aced the GACE exam required for applying for a teaching certificate program. He would have been an amazing teacher and could have impacted many lives that way. His long-range goal was to become a college professor if he ultimately decided that law school was not for him. It's such a tragedy to me that so much potential was wasted due to the defendant's actions.
Aaron's father, Randy, also expressed to the judge his devastation of learning his son's murderer was someone once close to the entire family.
The psychological scars from betrayal from one who we treated like a son or brother is irreparable. Every time I hear my son Micah refer to murdering an opponent in a video game, I feel pain. I work with elderly people at an assisted living center now who are naturally conversational and want to discuss and always ask me, how many children do you have? Instead of answering 5, which is correct, I usually have to answer 4 because I don't want to get into that with them. I don't need to burden them with what's going on in my life. But it's a challenge for me. I've been waiting for this day to try to begin healing from this, as it's still hard to fathom whether this is a real event and that he's not just away at college still. I've done what I can to try to keep myself as busy as possible, working, having a secondary job that I work on, trying to spend time with the family, being active at all times in order to not let my mind have to think about what happened. I do believe in both justice and mercy. I believe that justice can be best satisfied as Aaron will not be coming back. The best justice would be for the defendant never to be allowed out of custody again. I do hope that he can find mercy with God and seek help while in custody to be able to plead with God for his mercy at the appropriate time. Beyond the hideousness of the crime itself is the ability to hide those intentions, a total lack of remorse such that I would never be satisfied, no matter how cooperative he would be in prison, that he could ever be trusted again. I feel that it would be wrong to make any recommendation other than life in prison without the possibility of parole for someone capable of committing a crime like this. Tell his other friends that he's doing better than ever while simultaneously covering up this hideous act and lying to us about what happened, even to the point of trying to make us believe that our son had tried to take his own life. As a father and husband, I've tried to be the stoic and strong one, especially as this has caused so much distress for my wife, Sarah. I fear that I haven't done this as well as I've done enough as I try to understand this myself. I hope that no one has to go through what Aaron and our entire family has endured at the hands of Brandon Reisner. Thank you.
Aaron's mother, Sarah Davis, gave an emotional statement to the judge. She said Aaron was very close to his siblings and should have been with the entire family that day to celebrate his little brother's birthday.
It's Micah's birthday today, and he should be here celebrating with my son. He organized whenever Micah had friends over. He helped play with them. Micah just loved how Aaron would play with him. Shortly before Aaron was murdered, I overheard Aaron 4 different times saying to Micah, quote, "Mr. Micah, I picked out a game for us to play together," unquote. Micah has autism, and he doesn't have people. And Brandon took the person he had, the cooler older brother that would play with him. Brandon knew how much Aaron's siblings needed and loved him, but Brandon stabbed Aaron to death, made him suffer first with that knowledge that Aaron was so needed. Brandon stole Aaron's life by murdering him and broke our hearts and devastated our lives. I have cried every day for 1.5 years. I've had a hard time sleeping since Aaron's murder, and when I do, I have nightmares of Aaron being stabbed to death. Some people in our household had a fear of Brandon coming to our house and stabbing them to get death. And when they hear noises at night, they think it's Brandon breaking in, coming to murder everybody. Brandon is the worst type of evil, where he chose to stab Aaron to death and cause such a tremendous loss and pain to those who treated him with love. Brandon deserves to serve life in prison without the possibility of parole.
When it came time for the defense's side, Reisner's parents gave tearful statements to the judge. His father, Jeremy, who went first, said prior to the murder, he never showed a sign of violence, but admitted his son struggled with his mental health.
I realize that most people in this room and on those TVs are seeing a murderer, and they're seeing what they're going to see. What they don't see, what they'll never see, is the joy that he brought into our lives the day he was born. He's a kind, gentle person who never, ever showed a sign of violence in his life. He showed nothing but kindness. He was a part of the Davis's family. There was an open door, a revolving door. I took that boy to scout camp every week, every year. They were family. He loved the smile on those kids' faces when he would go over there, so we let him go over as much as he wanted. When he went on his mission, you could tell he was feeling more and more like he's looking at his life from the outside like he's not there. But we tried to get him out, offer him love and encouragement. He's the reason I choose the right. He's the reason I would pray at night, because he set an example for me. And he was always strong for me. When he went on his mission, he ended up getting counseling for the same reason: suicidal tendency, feeling detached, feeling like he's outside looking in. We knew something was wrong. We got help for him. He was home for a while, went back on his mission out in Utah, and it was the same thing. The mission president got him the help he needed. We knew he had Tourette's. We knew he had OCD. We knew there was something different. But again, he was filled with so much kindness and love. Your Honor, we firmly believe that Brandon's actions were not the result of malice, but rather the culmination of his mental health conditions. We're committed to ensuring that he receives the ongoing treatment and support he needs to manage his illnesses. We ask for your compassion and understanding in recognizing the profound impact his mental health had on his behavior. We earnestly hope that with appropriate treatment and care, he can one day prove himself able to reintegrate into society and lead a productive life. We humbly request that you consider a sentence that would be conducive to mental health treatment and eventual redemption. Our family's dedicated to supporting Brandon during his time in custody. And we're prepared to take all the necessary steps to ensure his continued rehabilitation while serving out his sentence. Thank you for taking this time to consider our request for leniency and the possibility of parole.
Reisner's mother, Jenny Lee, began her statement with an emotional apology to Aaron's family before pleading to the judge to spare her son from spending the rest of his life in prison.
How sorry I am for the Davises' loss. And I carry that grief with me every day. But I have to let you know about Brandon. I never imagined that I might one day have to stand here and ask for hope for the life of one of my children. I never thought that I would have to defend one of my children's characters because, I'm sorry. I never thought I would have to defend one of my children's characters because they have shown their character through the lives they live. But until these last couple of years, I always assumed that a person's character was defined by how they lived their life. However, I have come to believe that determining someone's character is much more complicated than taking a snapshot of their life. A simple glance at their life does not show you the trials that they have faced or the obstacles that they have overcome. My youngest child, Brandon, has taught me this. As his mother, I cannot define him by his worst moments. So I ask you today to consider what defines our character. Does our one worst act, despite a good life, define all that we are? Can one horrific mistake erase a lifetime of love and kindness? I cannot believe it does. And I hope you can see that too. My child is kind and a loving human being who suffers from severe mental illness that were not recognized or dealt with in time to save two very good people's lives. Aaron Davis's and my son's. I ask that the time that he serves will be in a facility that can teach him, treat him, and help him overcome his mental issues. I ask that you consider granting him hope for a future outside of prison walls someday, so that he may one day return to the family that loves him.
Echoing what Reisner's parents expressed, Reisner's attorney argued he should eventually be granted parole.
The tragedy that happened that night is not fixable. And I can't begin to feel the way the Davis family feels right now. But we are here, Your Honor, for a sort of business, and that is the sentencing. Every one of their victim impact statements was very, very difficult to hear. But I'm advocating on behalf of Brandon. I'm not saying somehow that he get released early outside of the 30 years. I'm not suggesting anything that's not completely legal. I'm making an argument for mercy. I'm making an argument in equity. I'm making an argument for a kid that maybe if he had a little bit better therapy or a little bit better doctor, once upon a time, this would have never have happened.
But the defense's argument and emotional pleas from Brandon Reisner's parents weren't enough to sway the judge.
Both of these young men have been loved throughout their lives. And I know all of you are experiencing tremendous pain, including the Reisner family. But the pain of Aaron's family far exceeds that. To have a young son brutally murdered is unfathomable. I hope that your fond and loving memories of Aaron and that your faith will provide you some comfort as your life continues. Having said that, I have considered all of the facts and circumstances of this case and counsel's arguments. And I have come to the conclusion that justice requires that Mr. Reisner be sentenced on count 1 to imprisonment for life without parole. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's based upon the premeditation, the manner of death, and the efforts to cover up all of the acts. On count 2, felony murder, that will be vacated by operation of law. Count 3, to which Mr. Reisner also pled guilty, will be vacated by operation of law. Count 4, the aggravated assault, will be merged into count 1, as will count 5, aggravated assault, and count 6, aggravated battery. Count 7, concealing the death of another, the sentence will be 10 years. Count 8, abandonment of a dead body, there will be a sentence of 3 years. Count 9, theft by taking a motor vehicle with a value more than $5,000, the sentence will be 10 years. Count 10, removal of body parts, be a sentence of 12 months. Count 11, tampering with evidence, be a sentence of 10 years. And count 12, obstruction, that's a misdemeanor, the sentence will be 12 months. So the total sentence is life imprisonment without parole. Did you want to add something, Ms. Mayo?
Your Honor, count 11 is a misdemeanor. You had said 10 years.
Count 11,
yes,
tampering with evidence?
Yes, sir.
Well, I thought I looked that up. Okay. That will be a sentence of 12 months as opposed to 10 years. The sentence speaks for itself. God bless everybody in the courtroom.
Brandon Reisner didn't speak during his sentencing hearing. Online records reveal he's still behind bars in the Floyd County Jail before he's transported to prison.
Some moms are stretched really, really thin, juggling work and family and sometimes just exhaustion. So when someone offers to help, you might take it. But this time that trust cost a mother her daughter's life. Harmony Henderson was a 3-year-old little girl who was nonverbal and autistic. 31-year-old Aisha Harris, she is going to spend anywhere from 28 to 50 years in prison for murdering Harmony. Aisha was a friend of Harmony's mother, and she was babysitting her at her home in Detroit when she was killed back in 2024. A medical examiner determined that Harmony's cause of death was caused by blunt force trauma, but multiple injuries were on her body and they appeared consistent with being struck with an object, and she had superficial burns, most likely caused by hot water in an attempt to wash or revive her. It all came to a tragic end when Harmony's mom, Paris England, went to pick her up, only to find her beautiful little girl's lifeless body. Desperate, Paris rushed Harmony to the hospital. Aisha came along, but she left the hospital when police took her to the Detroit Detention Center for processing. The investigators wanted to get information about the initial drop-off from Paris, Harmony's mom, on March 15th, 2024.
So tell me from Friday, tell me what happened all the way up until yesterday.
Well, Friday, me and my friend was texting or whatever.
Who is your friend? You gotta tell us everything because we don't know who you're talking about. Okay?
Paris England.
And that is
the mama of
Harmony's
the
mom.
Yes.
Okay, so Paris, go ahead.
Okay. So me and my friend Paris was texting Friday or whatever, like normal as we do. So she was like, these damn kids getting on my nerves and this and this and that. So I texted her and said, you want me to get the baby? She was like, yeah, if you can. So I said, yeah. And she was like, okay.
The two moms, they've been best friends for the past 5 years, so watching each other's kids is not out of the norm.
I was having a hard time with Harmony because she was having like one of her episodes.
So explain that to me. What's the episode?
So she was autistic and she couldn't really like, she was nonverbal.
Nonverbal, okay.
So instead of like, it's like a newborn. When you don't know what's wrong with them, but she's old enough to tell you, but you don't know what's going on, so she's just crying or she's emotional. Or me and her was like this. So nobody could calm down but me.
Right.
So that means she's stuck with me 24/7 if she's not at school.
Right.
So I needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to get her daddy to do it, but he had to work. So I was just going to suck it up. And I was going to let my oldest daughter go with her daddy because I knew it was the weekend. And I was just going to suck it up. But I texted my friend just to see what she was doing, and she offered to let Harmony come over. My initial idea was Harmony was coming over for a day. That's what I thought. But when I got there, she said, oh, Harmony can stay the weekend. Matter of fact, Harmony can stay until Monday. Don't worry about it. I know you need a break, because she understands.
Right.
Like, she know. I call her when I can't take it anymore, you know, when I'm stressed. Right. So she understood.
Aisha knew her best friend Paris was that type of parent that could never relax. So she assured her as she was leaving that she had everything under control. And she did until Saturday. So far, it was only the girls in the house, herself, her daughter, and Harmony, up until 4 p.m. That's when Aisha's friend named D'Angelo came over.
So he left at 7. You went in the room and you realized she threw up.
Yeah.
Where did she throw up at?
On the bed.
On the bed. Did you change the sheets at that point?
Yeah, because I was about to lay back down. Like, at this point, I'm sleepy. And it's time for them to nap, too. You know, I'm on nap.
Because it's like, what time? He left at 7.
Yeah, 7 something going on 8. Yeah,
Okay.
So it's time for a nap or whatever.
So about 8 is when you realized she threw up.
That's when I was about to lay down. She was still in her little spot laying down and everything, too. That's when I moved the little cover, put my pillow down. As soon as I put my little leg like this,
was it a little bit of thought?
No, it was a lot with food, the cookies and stuff.
Just now, Aisha casually mentions that she was high to investigators. Earlier in the interview, she openly admitted to her vices.
Come on.
I'm a smoker, baby. I smoke.
All day?
I smoke. Not all day, but...
So you for sure, you smoked some on Friday. You smoked you a few on Saturday while you had company.
Now, Aisha probably thought that mentioning her dependency on weed would explain her behavior. I mean, drug use in front of children, it's never, ever okay. But she tells investigators she was still capable of caring for the children. She was aware, she said, that she got lazy after smoking. So after Harmony threw up, she forced herself into action.
So you go down in the basement and she come behind you. Well,
not really be like a couple of minutes.
How many stairs is it leading to the basement?
It's a lot, but she didn't fall down all of them because I heard her little feet.
So how many would you say she fell down?
Not for sure.
Okay. Would you say she was halfway down, all the way at the top? Because yo, boom, 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 sound like a whole bunch of stairs.
So it was around 8 p.m. when Aisha updated Paris about Harmony falling down the stairs.
Okay. She called me and said Harmony fell down the stairs. So I asked her, I said, what you mean fall down the stairs? She said she had the tablet in her hand and she was coming, because my baby loved cocoa melon. But she just now learning how to skip the ad. So if she don't know how to skip the ad, she'll come find you so you can skip the ad. And she said she was in the basement and the kids was upstairs on the second floor in the baby room. She said she was putting clothes in the laundry, and she said that she heard the baby coming, so she was trying to hurry up. She said that the baby came and she heard the baby fall. She said she didn't see it, she heard it. So she said that she cried, but not like that. My baby fall down the stairs like 2 times before, and when she'll cry, but then she just like, you know, oopsie, like, you know what I'm saying? So I sent her. I hung up the phone on her because I asked her, I said, let me see my baby. She said, I said, send me a picture of my baby. She said, nah, friend, I don't want to send you a picture. And I hung up on her, you know what I mean? Like, don't send me a picture of my baby. So I called her, video call on Facebook. Okay. And I seen my baby. It was just literally a bump and a busted lip. I took a picture of it. Because me and her dad have a communication. If something happened to my baby, I sent him pictures to let him know, to keep him updated. He know everything, you know, what's going on with her. And I showed him that. So I took the picture, and she was laying on the bed, and I told her to pick her up because I don't want her to lay down. I said, watch her. I said, make sure she's okay. I called back not even 45 minutes later just to check on her. She said she was okay, and she was laying down. I asked her, I said, is she acting like she in pain? She said, no, she's chilling here. She video called me. I see my baby chilling. She watching Coco Melon, and she pointed at the screen. And she pointed at the screen for me. And I said, what the guy, my baby? She pointed at the screen. That's the last time I seen her alive.
Okay, so let's rewind. Paris was periodically checking in with Aisha about the status of Harmony after her fall, and each time, Aisha assured her that she was okay. In the final hours of Harmony's life, Paris called to see if her eye was better. Aisha said it was and to stop calling. So the big question is, what happened between then and 2 p.m.? Investigators press her to find out.
Watching the TV, I'm on the bed just watching my phone, laying in the bed or whatever. So I'm back there doing her, like making noises, like she about to go to sleep, normal stuff she do, twirling her feet, all type of stuff, her pacifier, normal stuff. My baby watching TV. So I turned around, she was eating a fruit snack. I ain't paying no mind, whatever, so I'm on my phone still, you know. So I'm like, okay, I don't hear her no more. Turned around, she was laying on the pillow like this. I'm like, okay, she sleeps, so I ain't paying no mind. And I hear my friend coming in the house. She got a key to my house or whatever. So she ain't know the code or whatever. So I'm trying to beat her to the door if I could push the code in. Don't nobody want to hear that. But
that's what, for alarm?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the moment that Paris walked in the door, that's a memory a mother will never forget.
And I threw my phone and my keys down. I yelled her name. Harmony. I walked through the room. Isha's sitting on the bed. Her baby is on the foot of her bed, laying there, like she just there. And my daughter is on the side of her. It looked like she was either picking through her nose, like trying to get something off her face, or her. I think it was her nose, because my daughter's nose, you know. Okay. She was picking through her nose. She said, Harmony, your mama here. And she picked her up like this. And when she picked her up to do like this, something just told me something wasn't right. Because my baby sleep hard. But when you move her, she moves. So when she did like this and brung her over, and she was still like, she was pressing, like, laying her hair back or doing like, she was doing something to her face. So I get closer to the bed, and as soon as she did like this and her arm dropped, I lost my I snatched her out of Isha's arms. I ran to get my key. She telling me to calm down. But I know, I watch a lot of Law and Order, True Crime, all that stuff. So I know when something is not right. I grabbed my keys. I screamed at her and I told her, bitch, come on. I grabbed my stuff. I start the car. And I did like 100 of 6 miles. When I brought my baby in, I followed her all the way into the room. And the way how he was on his chest pumping her, and the way how her body was just lifeless, I knew my baby was gone. And the lady acted like she didn't want to tell me. She kept saying, calm down. I'm going to tell you if you stop moving. So I stopped moving. I'm like, tell me, my baby dead, ain't she? She just nodded her head and I fell. And then it didn't occur to me that maybe she would have done something because I'm freaking the out. Like, I'm freaking the out. I done fell. I'm all on the floor. I done swung on people. She right here. She come up to me and asked me, is everything, well, not everything, but it's going to be okay. And I snatched from her instead of blowing her shit out.
Especially because she knows what her friend is capable of.
She's not a gentle parent. You know what I'm saying?
Stop sugarcoating it. Just tell me what she did.
Because it really depends on her mood, to be honest.
I know. Just some of the things that you saw. Listen. We're not asking you about any of the other factors that led into the way she disciplined. Just tell us what she did when she was doing her discipline.
She just, hit her on either the back or the butt.
With an open hand?
Open hand. I never seen her smack her baby in the face.
Oh, okay.
Or I never seen her punch her baby. It literally just be like, when the kid's standing there, you just bop. That's it.
Okay, and you felt that was excessive?
To me.
Paris doesn't know why Aisha never realized something was wrong with her daughter. Based on Harmony's injuries, it was obvious. Investigators thought maybe she was more intoxicated than she thought.
Did you smoke right after she fell? Because I know your nerves was bad.
No, I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't.
Okay.
But then Aisha was starting to worry about how this was looking for her.
Can we not do that? No. Well, you're making it seem bad. Like I just said, all right, whatever. Well, no, I ain't mean it like that.
We just want to give you a chance to tell your story, Aisha.
The only thing I can say, maybe the water was hot. That's the only thing how this can get up there. Other than you talking about me beating that damn baby head or how she got trauma to the however you said it. I know that for a fact I did not do that. Me, this probably, yeah, no.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph?
What's that? Well, I'll take that. Most definitely.
You will?
Okay.
All right, well.
Most definitely will.
You will?
Yes, I will. If it's gonna set me free, because knowing that I say I didn't hurt that baby, yeah, and I don't know how y'all gonna put this, the water was too hot, yeah, maybe I did that, but me killing that baby and her brain, I would like one. I would like one. I will. But me looking at that pictures like that, that's messed up. And see, it didn't look like that. The picture's making it look worse as well. When Paris got to get her head ain't look like that earlier. It did look like that. It did. It did look like that. It was red, but it didn't look like that. It didn't look like that. Oh.
At the end of the interrogation, Aisha leaves the detective with a message to deliver to her friend.
You going to go see her? I would probably have talked to her eventually. Can you please give her a hug for me? I'm probably not, but
you think I wouldn't?
I don't know. I don't know, my friend, and then she probably tell you, my friend not like this. What was she going through? She have her all the time. I don't know what I be. It wasn't the weed. Like I smoke all the damn time. I barely sleep, so damn, they need a new coat.
Yeah. I mean, we can have you talk to her, but if you want to write a letter to her.
I want want to give my friend a hug. She might punch me in the face.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
Well, I accept it. I would accept it.
Would you want to write a letter to her?
No, I don't want no letters. I want it to come out my mouth.
Okay, I hear you.
The next day, Aisha gets set up for a polygraph with a lieutenant.
Okay, Sue.
All right now. Maybe come in. You can
I'm take this jacket off. Or?
Yeah, just freaking. If you're comfortable with it on for right now, we'll eventually take it off.
Okay.
We gotta sit in there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Lieutenant Lalone explains to Aisha how this examination will record physiological responses to ultimately determine when she is being deceptive or not. Then he establishes some baseline readings by carefully conducting some control questions relevant to the crime.
So, what kind of person do you think would assault a child? Good person, bad person, frustrated, tired?
A crazy person, I've been watching the news all the day. A lot of years been going past, how people hurt a kid. I don't understand how can people hurt a kid, but.
So why do you think they would?
That's why I don't know. Maybe they tired of the dang on kids. They don't want it. I'd be having a lot of questions and a lot of little things. I don't know.
And the only reason they'd accuse you of doing this is you had custody of the child at the time. The baby was in your care at the time.
Yeah, I had her.
Yeah, but everybody deserves a second chance.
Yes,
right?
Yes, I should. I should get a second chance.
I think you should.
Yes, I should, and I should not go to prison. I have a daughter. At least tell her something. I don't know.
When the pre-test interview is complete, the real exam begins.
The test has begun. Please remain still. Are the lights on in this room?
Yes.
Do you believe that I'll only ask the questions we reviewed?
Yes.
Regarding the injuries to Harmony, do you intend to answer truthfully each question about that?
Yes.
Have you ever hurt someone who loved or trusted you?
No.
Did you strike Harmony in the head, causing those injuries?
No.
Have you ever hurt someone to get even with them?
No.
Did you strike Harmony in the head?
No.
Have you ever hurt someone out of anger?
No.
Even though I've said I would not, are you afraid I'll ask you a question about something else?
No.
The test is over. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. Alright. Looking good. So we should just have one more to do, okay?
Because I feel like I was a statue. My stomach kept breathing. I'm kind of holding in. I'm like, okay, let me just breathe.
You're looking okay. You look good.
Oh, God. Then this thing, I'm feeling my heartbeat. Then I feel this. Then I heard my heartbeat. I'm like, I'm hearing it. Okay, I'm doing good?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, my God. I feel like I'm messing up. Like I'm just not doing. Okay. I'm doing fine.
Just keep doing it.
Okay. It's like I can hear my heartbeat over here.
The results come in, and guess what? The examiner detected deception in Aisha's answers. So the following day, Aisha says she wants to update her statement. Despite being a little hungry, Aisha seems like she's in good spirits for someone accused of murder.
Yep, whatever you bring me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whatever. I eat all day, whatever you bring me. You could bring me some graham crackers. Make sure they got the cinnamon on top. But I'll anything. I'm not picky.
At first, aspects of the story start to change.
It wasn't one time that you didn't repeatedly hit her?
No.
Did you push her down? How did
it was in the tub, yeah.
You were in the tub and what
and she
happened?
banged her head, but I didn't do it. It was just because of the situation of the burning and how she was moving.
Where did she
she
hit her head?
did it on the damn tub.
Detectives can tell she's hesitant, but they encourage her to just let it all out.
So look, we're here, this is 0% truth. This is 100% truth. We're about here by 85, 90%, right?
That's where I'm at.
But this right here is the meat and potatoes, right? This is the thing that makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
Okay? If we don't tell the truth about this, all this is no good. Okay? So we got to get here. We got to get to that 100% part. You said, you made a reference to it, so I think this is you trying to tell me, you're trying to ease into it.
I'm not easing into it because I know I didn't bang her head to the head.
Did you push her down? I mean,
We pushed her in the tub, yeah.
You pushed her down in the tub?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did she hit her head when you pushed her down the tub?
On the inside of the tub.
Let me ask you this. So this is the tub right here, okay? And I apologize. I'm not a good artist.
I know. It's okay. You getting it out of me. It's okay.
You're fine, Aisha. We're going to get through this, I promise.
I know.
So this is the tub here, right?
Get through it in prison.
No, Aisha, let's not put the cart before the horse. We don't know what's going to happen. Again, if you took the baby's head and repeatedly smashed the baby's head against the tub...
I didn't do that.
I know you didn't do that. But if you pushed the baby's head down and she hit her head, well, that's something we got to talk about too. But that's two different things. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the tub. And then we're going to say this is the wall, the back wall, this part. Maybe the faucet comes out here. Oh, here. I'm sorry. Okay. Show us here on the picture.
Have they been to my house?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been there. We went there yesterday.
So
okay. How y'all get in?
Draw a circle around where you hit the baby.
The landlord.
Okay, y'all talk. Okay.
Draw a circle around where you hit the baby's head on the tub, and then right in that area. Okay. And put your initials next to that for me.
Is that on the outside or the inside of it?
It's like the outside, inside.
Okay, and this was during the whole thing. You got a little bit frustrated and just kind of... Aisha, the only reason I can say I understand is I have two boys. I'm going to tell you a true story. I've told many people this story, okay? I'm driving down the street with my son. He's a baby, and he was screaming, and I can still feel... It gives me, you know how your hair stands up in your back of your neck and on your arms? I can still hear him screaming. I had to pull over. I'm telling you, I almost cry about it when I think about it. I had to pull over and get out of the car and call my wife. You know why? Because I thought I was going to do something because I was so frustrated. Who did you have with you? Nobody. You had nobody with you. You had nowhere to go. You had, like, you hit your breaking point. Again, you got that pressure cooker and you lost your... Right? Excuse my language, right?
Somebody else's child, though.
Aisha, it doesn't... Again, it happened. But we're going to deal with it, okay? It's not what we did, it's what we do with what we did that makes us the person we are. You're not a bad person.
I am. She died. She died.
Confessing out loud seems to have brought some relief to Aisha.
Yep.
All right. Do you feel...
I feel a little released, but I feel like I am a bad-ass person. I am a bad person. I don't know why I got frustrated on somebody else's daughter. I have my own daughter, but that ain't making it better. Like me saying I got my own daughter, but...
You did it to somebody else's kid.
Else child, and it's bad. Now she's gone. Like, she is gone.
Right.
Gone.
But
because of what the I did, being frustrated, irritated.
But here's the thing. At the end of the day, Aisha, what you're doing is the right thing.
I'm at least gonna tell the truth. I am. It's gonna probably take me a minute. Me saying I ain't do it, but I already know this. But
so you know what you did.
I hit the baby head once. That's how she got the little cut. And when she got the cut on the head, I didn't do it no more because I only hit it one time.
And with the truth out, investigators are curious about what else she might confess to.
So what did you do with the bloody stuff that you cleaned up the blood with, or you just let it go in the tub?
What you mean?
Did you use a rag to clean her when she started bleeding? Because we looked in the house and we didn't see anything bloody at all.
No, it's in the washing machine.
Oh, you washed it?
Yeah.
So the towel and things like that?
It's in the washing machine. I told the lady, yeah.
Did she actually fall down the steps?
Yes, she did.
But she wasn't really injured from falling down the steps, was she?
No, she had the little...
She had the little cut. But
yeah.
Her head injury came from this.
The tub? Okay, well...
I'm asking you. You got to tell us.
No, she fell down the stairs, but she had the little cut.
The little cut in her eye right here.
That cut came from when I hit her in the head.
Did it?
In the tub, the one from the top came from the stairs.
Stairs, okay.
Yeah.
So, all those injuries that we see, did you see like it looked like red that was right there? Do you think that came from the hot water?
I ain't really see it. I just see... You talk about the at the top?
Yeah.
Can we just get this over with now?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm trying to go down the line so we can just make sure we got everything squared away.
Can I see the pictures y'all got?
You want to see them again?
All of them. I want to see everything.
Yeah, this is just the tell.
I still want to see what y'all got. I still want to see.
Aisha takes a moment with the photos, looking at them in disbelief.
So if you had opportunity to just try to tell her something right at this moment, what would you tell her?
Tell her I'm very sorry and she can beat my ass. She don't never gotta talk to me again. I know that because her baby gone. I can't bring her baby back like a 3-year-old. I can't bring her back.
Right.
But if I can talk to my friend, if you was my friend, I'm sorry. You know, I can't. Oh, I never meant to hurt you or hurt her. I never hurt her, never in the day of my life.
Right.
Friend, that Saturday, I was so frustrated. I went through so much fucking shit. I argued with everybody that day, friend.
Right.
People have made me mad. I cussed out everybody, friend. This is how we talk. We call each other friend and everything.
Just go ahead, let it out.
Friend, I was so fucking mad. Them people made me mad. Then that nigga, I'm telling all my stuff. I was so frustrated. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt her. I even hit Javea, and you already know how you don't like me hitting her, but I hit her anyways.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I can't take this back. I can't take your pain away. I'm sorry.
I think she would appreciate that. Isha, I think she would appreciate that. All right, so we're going to let you go on and eat, okay?
I'm not hungry no more.
No, look at me.
Take some time.
I'm not hungry. I'm ready to go.
14 months later, Aisha pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for a lesser sentence. At her sentencing, her attorney read a statement on her behalf. I pray for peace and for healing for everyone's heart. Most of all, I pray for forgiveness for the pain that I have caused you. If I could rewind back today, I would. I took this plea in the hopes of sparing the family the pain of the trial. Paris, please find it in your heart to one day forgive me. I will forever be broken. I'm sorry. Aisha will serve her time at a Michigan prison. Harmony will be remembered for being so full of life, love, and laughter.
And I'm going to tell you I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you, Mom. I didn't. And I'm sorry. Sorry.
Following a murder case out of Milwaukee, a shooting between two friends on the alleged killer's birthday. Now, this is 26-year-old Ariel Spillner. Friends are remembering her as a radiant soul who left this world far too soon. She was a pharmacy student at Concordia University, Wisconsin. She was a third-degree black belt. She also played college basketball. She graduated undergrad with a degree in chemistry, and she was on her way to receiving her master's. Her family said that she had 1 year left of school. She was born and raised in Wisconsin. She loved the Packers, hunting, fishing, and family. She also was a self-proclaimed Disney adult who dreamed of moving to Florida once she graduated school. Her TikTok shows her as someone who liked to have fun with her friends. Now, there is more information coming to light on how this young, bright woman lost her life. When this story first broke last week, the details from law enforcement were somewhat sparse, other than Spillner was the one who lost her life. She was shot and killed inside a home at the corner of 39th and Lancaster in Milwaukee. A family member of Spillner's told WISN-TV that on the night of November 4th, Spillner went over to a friend's house. It was around 8 o'clock that night, and Spillner had spoken with her sister on the phone before she left. Her sister told the TV station when the two of them hung up, the last thing they said to each other was something they always say, and that was, "I love you." Now, Ariel was heading to a friend's house to celebrate that friend's birthday, but her sister did point out to the TV station that Ariel had a big test later that week, so she didn't believe that Ariel was going to be out that late. But then it was at 9:43 p.m. that Ariel was shot and killed, according to police. And her alleged killer was also shot, according to police, which was an interesting twist in this story. We do have new information that was just released that lays out what investigators say happened that night at this home on North 39th Street. Now, here's the face of the alleged killer. Her name is Jamaica Simone Mills. She's 32 years old, and if her mugshot looks familiar from earlier in this episode, it's because she is the friend who is in several TikTok videos with Ariel. Here's another one here of the two of them together having fun with wigs on. The two of them seem close, and she told police that Ariel and her had been friends for about a year. Now, it appears on the night of Wednesday, November 4th, that it was Mills' birthday. We found her Facebook page where around 8 o'clock she was live for more than 11 minutes listening to gospel music, it seems. Now, it was just a couple hours after that everything changed, that Mills would be arrested for the murder of her friend. Now, according to the criminal complaint, Mills first told police when they arrived that she couldn't remember what happened. She said that she remembered being in the living room and then she woke up in the hospital and she had no idea what happened in between. She also first told police that she thought Spillner had shot her. Police say that Mills accidentally shot herself in the stomach. Now, police pressed Mills at the hospital, and according to this criminal complaint, Mills allegedly said that she and Spillner had smoked weed that night, and she became paranoid. Spillner was supposed to cut her dog's hair with scissors, and that's when police claim that Mills said she became paranoid. So, Mills allegedly went to her bedroom and got her gun. When she returned to the living room where Ariel was, she said that Ariel made a hand motion, and that is when she allegedly fired the shot that killed Ariel Spillner. She said that Spillner never made a threat about scissors, though, and she even allegedly admitted she never saw scissors at all. Now, again, all of this is according to police. Mills' sister-in-law was at the house and told police that she was in the other room, and then she heard something along the lines of, "B word, you tripping." And that was right before the gunshot was fired. Mills told police that she and Spillner had been talking about who they had dated before those gunshots were fired. Now, Mills had a gunshot wound herself, and again, that's because she accidentally shot herself in the stomach, according to police. Police also describe her as combative at the scene as well as at the hospital. Mills told police that she and Spillner had been friends for about a year, but now she's accused of killing her. In putting this story together, we typed Jamaica Mills' name into truthfinder.com just to learn more information about her. And when we put her in Truthfinder, her profile came up showing the address where this alleged murder took place. And in the criminal history section, we do see that she has some previous arrests, but mostly are traffic offenses that she was arrested for, and nothing compared to the type of charges that she's facing in this case, which is murder. Mills is facing a charge of first-degree reckless homicide. That is a charge that carries a sentence of up to 60 years in prison. She is also facing a modifier of use of a dangerous weapon, which can add 5 years to that up to 60-year sentence. According to online court records, Mills is being held on a $150,000 bond, and she is being represented by a public defender. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about this case is attorney Joe Tamburino. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Very sad case here with the loss of Ariel Spillner, this pharmacy student, allegedly at the hands of her own friend, who appears to be arguing that, or at least from what she allegedly told police, that both of them consumed marijuana. She became paranoid, and that is the reason that she fired the gun that killed this young woman. What do you make of that defense?
Well, it's a horrible defense because in Wisconsin, as in most states, there is no defense of I was too high, I was too drunk, therefore I'm not responsible for my actions. The only time that really ever is a defense is if it's involuntary intoxication, which just never happens. That's if somebody basically strapped you down and gave you hallucinogens or somehow, made you consume some type of drugs or alcohol. It just never happens.
In this case, and clearly, I mean, murder is a far more serious, charge to be hit with on this. But the fact that in Wisconsin as well, like it's illegal to smoke weed recreationally, as opposed to like in Illinois, you can go buy it. Does that hurt any sort of defense as well? If she tries to even get sympathy from a jury that, oh my, like I didn't realize I would act this way if I consumed this marijuana.
I don't think so, only because regardless of whether marijuana is illegal in a state, times have changed so much. I mean, I started doing this business in 1989, and the opinion on marijuana users from back then till now is night and day. So regardless of whether or not it's legal in your particular state, and in federal law it's still illegal, the use of marijuana is so commonplace today.
Yeah, and the thing is, it seems like, just reading from the criminal complaint, that eventually the story got to the point that she consumed marijuana. They both did, allegedly, and then she became paranoid. She goes and gets the gun. then there's some sort of hand motion, and she fires the gun that kills Ariel Spillner. What do you make of the fact that it wasn't that answer right out of the gate? I mean, does that hurt even an argument if you were trying to get sympathy from a jury, where I know you can't argue that, it wasn't, the weed made me do it isn't a good argument as it is, but even the fact that it doesn't seem like that was her first story that she told police.
Right. And that's, what you're getting at, Chris, is this. If you are going to give a statement when you're arrested and not request an attorney, which is always a pretty bad idea to do, but if you decide to do that, you got to make sure your story is consistent. And hers is not consistent, because one of the ways anyone's credibility is attacked is when you challenge them on giving inconsistent statements. Your stories change. That's just terrible for one's credibility.
Well, and with that too, I would imagine most people in Wisconsin don't know that it is illegal, or it's not a defense that would work to say that I consumed marijuana, I became paranoid, that's not just a defense that would work in a criminal court.
It's not. And I would think most people with common sense would know, look, if I voluntarily consume a controlled substance or alcohol, I'm not going to have a defense. Think of it this way. If voluntarily consuming alcohol or drugs was a defense, how would you ever convict anyone of DWI? It would be impossible. You would just say, oh, officer, I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing. So, of course, the law doesn't allow that. So I think any juror with common sense is going to know, regardless of whether it's alcohol or marijuana, if you voluntarily consumed it, you're not going to have a defense.
And then also just kind of looking at this situation and how it played out, where I believe it's Mills's sister-in-law was in the other room, and she hears a quote that was written in the criminal complaint, B word, I can't say the word here, but B word, you tripping, and then we hear the gunshots allegedly inside the house that take the life of this young woman. If that is presented, if this would even get to trial, and you have a witness on the stand saying that she heard that, what would that mean for how this case could go?
Pretty bad for the defense, because think of it this way. You have a lot of factors here, allegedly, that would even support premeditation and pure intent. What are they? That supposedly Ms. Simone left the scene, went to go get the gun, a gun that she had some purchase order for. It sounds like she recently purchased it. And then come back to Ms. Spillner and then say something derogatory toward her and then shoot her. I mean, all of that adds up to a lot of intent if the state's able to prove it at trial. So, yeah, they're horrible facts.
And I think, too, is there anything on, when you look at this, because you go through, just reading this criminal complaint and the story of when police get on scene, you have this suspect who, goes from I didn't know what happened, I blacked out, to we took marijuana, smoked some weed, and then I ended up getting paranoid. I went and go get the gun. The sister-in-law is saying, B word, you tripping, and then boom, there's a gunshot. Is there anything for a defense attorney that they have on their side in this case at this point?
It's difficult to see. I would imagine if it goes to trial, the defense will probably ask for a lesser included. Right now, she's charged with a Class B felony, which is up to 60 years. So perhaps the defense at trial would try to get something like a Class C or D felony just to lessen the blow. But what she also has is basically something called an enhancer, something that adds to the criminal charges. What's that? In Wisconsin, it's the use of a firearm in this case. And what that means, and you could see it in the complaint because it's spelled out, what that means is if the defendant is convicted, they get an extra 5 years, 60 months on top of what they would normally get. So, Ms. Simone is just facing basically the rest of her life in prison.
What would it be to be a Class A felony? Because considering in this one where it is, she leaves the room to go get the gun allegedly, and then apparently, there was something that led her up to the moment that she, said that she was tripping, and then boom, the gunshots are fired. What would it take for that to be even more serious than the charges she's facing here?
a premeditated type of crime, but that's sometimes very hard to prove. I'm sure what the district attorney, the prosecutor, thought in this case is, they've got a pretty good case, at least on the alleged facts, for a Class B felony, and it's already up to 60 years. So perhaps they thought instead of going for the Class A felony, they would just stick with what they have.
If for the defense attorney who comes in, how do you approach this case? I'm sure if you have this client, and I know she's going to be represented by a public defender, you read this criminal complaint, and assuming that it's all after her Miranda rights were given to her, how do you approach this case and put anything together that can help your client?
One of the things you have to do is go through your client's history. Perhaps your client had some mental health issues in the past. Maybe they've been hospitalized for that. Maybe they've had other situations where there were mental health breakdowns, some type of mental health disease. So you go through all of that. You also go through your client's chemical history. I would imagine in this case they took blood from the defendant. Many times they do. So you could see what those test results would be. You try to do all of that to see if there's any way you basically could lessen the blow on your client and perhaps get the charges reduced, work out some type of deal. And again, this is assuming everything in the complaint is factually accurate. Now, we're not going to know a lot more about this case until it literally goes to trial, because from now till there's a probable cause hearing, even the defense doesn't know what's happening other than the complaint. You don't get access to police reports and such.
In a case like this, where it seems that she was aware that what she did, at least from the criminal complaint, where if she has some sort of mental health issue in the past, how could that come into play to help, assuming that she couldn't reach the bar of pleading insanity?
Well, you bring up a good point about, when she said she realized what she did. Think of it this way. What would have happened if she would have said, "What happened? I don't know what happened. I truly don't remember." And they then stuck with that story. Well, that would be a lot better for her defense, because that would go to or support some type of argument that she had some mental health disease or defect which prevented her from understanding what she did. But that wasn't the case here. If what the complaint says is accurate, she starts off by saying, "I don't remember," and then clearly within a short period of time says she does, but, she was paranoid, but she knows that a gun could obviously hurt someone. So she's all over the place with that.
Yeah, and the other part too is I guess Ariel was going to go to her house to help groom her dog, and there was something about scissors, and that apparently made her paranoid. But it's also noted specifically by police that there weren't any scissors in sight, nor was there any sort of threat ever made about scissors. How does that kind of just factor into this story that police is telling?
Very bad for the defense, because when you bring up the situation of the alleged victim having some type of weapon, one might think, okay, is the defendant raising some type of a self-defense defense? But I think that's going to be difficult here for what you just stated, which was the police didn't find any scissors. There are a lot of things that look like perhaps after Ms. Spillner was shot, that there was, again, just based on what the facts say in the complaint, some type of perhaps cover-up. Look at all the bizarre things. You have the defendant herself shooting herself, by accident or not, in the abdomen. Then you have her removing her own clothes after that shot. Then you have her saying, well, Ms. Spillner, the alleged victim, had a scissors, but the scissors are never found. So, one could imagine where there could have been the shot. Obviously, Ms. Spillner is dead, and then perhaps the defendant is trying to create some type of defense, whether it's self-defense, mental health, removing clothes to get rid of evidence, whatever it is. So, there's just so many bizarre things.
Well, and she allegedly shot herself accidentally after this in the stomach. Who determines at the hospital that a suspect is medically able to communicate with police about what happened? Because it seems that, she goes to the hospital for a gunshot wound, which is pretty serious. Not serious enough that she couldn't be put in she's in jail right now. But who makes that decision?
Well, it depends on the medical situation, and that's going to be case-specific and hospital-specific. I would imagine there are some hospitals that have policies. I don't know of any. But usually it's if the person is medically stable, the police can go in and question them. And then it's up to the person to say either they want to talk or they don't want to talk. One of the things her defense attorney might look into is, did the hospital administer any type of medication to her which could have affected her ability to understand? For instance, say you have someone who's under the influence of some, very powerful painkiller or something to put a person out, like propofol, something like that. Could that affect your ability to make a decision as to whether or not to talk? So all of these things, I would imagine, are going to be examined.
In the criminal complaint, Mills, the suspect, says that both she and Spillner were consuming this marijuana, and I'm sure there will be toxicology tests run on the victim as well as the suspect. Could that open the door for the defense to make some sort of involuntary argument where it was Spillner allegedly that brought the marijuana to the house, and then she consumes the marijuana, and you can in some ways put the responsibility on a person who's not here to be able to testify to say whether that's true or not?
It's not going to help the defense with that, because the only time that a person providing controlled substances to someone else would really get into such serious trouble is when that person who consumes the substance dies or is somehow, egregiously harmed, something like that. And that's not the situation here.
And then I think of the relationship between the suspect and the victim. And from what we can tell, this was a friendship. They were reportedly over at Mill's house because it was Mill's birthday. This wasn't a confrontational type of relationship, like a domestic violence case that then leads up to the murder of someone. For the defense, could that factor into anything to kind of lessen the blow if this ends up going to trial, or how this plays out, that maybe it was deliberate, allegedly, in the way that, she says she was paranoid and she fires this gun, but in general, you look at this relationship and it wasn't the ones that are toxic and then suddenly reached a head where somebody died?
Yes, it could help the defense. The latter of what you said, which is this is not a relationship that there was any animosity between them. They were friends. And why would the defendant want to kill her friend, intend to kill her friend? And the only way to explain it is that she had some type of mental disease or defect, something that made her do something that she would otherwise not have done.
And it seems like this is just as we've been talking, this is a tough case for the defense, these public defenders who are going to be here. I know she has a preliminary hearing. I think it's Monday next week. How soon after that hearing could the conversation start of what a plea deal could potentially look like?
Well, plea deals could happen at any time. Anytime. They could happen, as soon as a complaint is issued and, the defendant says to his or her attorney, look, I see the complaint, I've read it, I would really like you to start talking with the prosecutor and see what we could work out. So who knows? These are conversations between attorney and client and then attorney to attorney.
Yeah, and we'll see how this case plays out. Obviously a strong case, it seems like for prosecutors at this point. Very sad, though, to see this loss of life.
Nicole Verzi is now 31 years old, and she is in the fight of her life. Verzi is accused of murdering her best friend's baby boy in June of 2024 and injuring that baby's twin brother. And if Verzi is convicted of murdering baby Leon Katz and hurting his brother, she could be sentenced to death. Recently, Nicole Verzi asked a judge to suppress statements that she made to detectives in which prosecutors say she admitted to hurting Leon. And according to prosecutors, Verzi said she had a long-time compulsion, a need, a desire to harm children that went back to her own childhood. It's unbelievable. Criminologist Dr. Debbie Goodman will join me very shortly to discuss this claim. But first, I want to recap this incredibly disturbing case since it's been a while since we've discussed it. In June of 2024, Nicole Verzi, a PhD student in psychology, traveled from San Diego to Pittsburgh to visit her best friend who'd recently given birth to twins. A probable cause affidavit lays out what police claim happened back in June of 2024. That affidavit says that Verzi called 911 on June 15th before midnight and said Leon suffered a bump to the head after falling from a bassinet. The document said the baby was non-responsive. Leon was rushed to the hospital, and the affidavit said his parents had left Leon in Nicole Verzi's care after taking his twin brother to the hospital for an injury to his genitals, which Verzi had brought to their attention. Police said Leon suffered a severe skull fracture and multiple brain bleeds. The affidavit says, Dr. Wolford of the Child Advocacy Center informed Detective O'Neill that the injuries sustained by both John Doe and Leon Katz is consistent with having been sustained as a result of child abuse, as these are inflicted injuries that are not natural and not accidental. Verzi agreed to speak to police at the police department. The affidavit states Verzi was unable to provide any plausible explanation for the cause consistent with the extent of the injuries that Leon Katz sustained while in her care. Verzi stated that she was with Savannah Roberts, Ethan Katz, and the twins on 6/15 of 2024. They went on an outing in the afternoon hours, and she was out by herself at a grocery store after that. Verzi estimated that at approximately 1830 hours, the parents took the John Doe to the hospital for the injury to the genital area. Verzi identified herself as the sole caretaker for Leon Katz while the parents and brother were at the hospital. Detectives said that Verzi told them that Leon was fine after his parents left, that he had eaten, soiled 2 diapers, and was burped. The affidavit continued. While Verzi was in the kitchen, she heard Leon screaming. She found Leon lying on his left side on the floor and picked him up. She observed a large bump to the left side of Leon's head. She contacted Leon's parents and then called 911. Ethan Katz arrived back at the home near the same time that first responders arrived. Leon was transported to the hospital while Ethan and Verzi drove to the hospital separately. As for injuries sustained by John Doe, Verzi stated that she observed the injury to Doe's genital area first and alerted his parents. She also photographed the injury and sent it to Ethan Katz. She also stated that Doe sustained a scratch to his face while she was placing him in the car seat, and he flailed his arms. Leon died hours later at the hospital. It was Father's Day. The affidavit detailed the injuries that Leon's twin brother suffered. It reads, "It should be noted that your affiant spoke with Dr. Wolford, who stated that John Doe's injuries are as follows: 2 scratches to the right cheek, 1 small scratch below the left side of the nose, 1 small scratch to the left cheek, 2 bruises below the belly button, bruising, swelling, and redness to the genital area, and scratches to the tip of the genitals." In addition, Dr. Wolford believed that all of Leon's injuries were acute. An autopsy performed determined that Leon died as the result of blunt force trauma. His death was ruled a homicide. His parents denied causing the injuries to Leon or his twin brother. Prosecutors are pursuing the death penalty against Nicole Verzi, listing 4 aggravating factors. First, they say Verzi committed the killing while in perpetration of a felony. Second, prosecutors say the offense was committed by means of torture. Third, prosecutors say they'll introduce evidence that Verzi has a significant history of felony convictions involving the use or threat of violence to the person. And the fourth and final aggravating factor cited by prosecutors, the victim was younger than age 12. Now, these are all things that prosecutors would present in the sentencing phase of a trial if Verzi was found guilty. Recently, a judge ruled that statements Nicole Verzi made to law enforcement the day that baby Leon died would not be suppressed. Verzi claimed she was coerced and had been at the police department for 13 hours. Those statements include Verzi telling detectives that she dropped the baby hard on the floor a couple of times before he died. The Pittsburgh Tribune-Review's website reported that Verzi told detectives, "Something just came over me I couldn't control. I'm telling you this because I can't keep lying about it." The site said that Verzi also told detectives, "I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. I know the best thing is for me to go away, or maybe worse." And Verzi, according to detectives, admitted to having a desire to harm children. "From a very, very young age, I don't know what it is, but I always had this urge, almost like a compulsion I can't control, to hurt kids." In 2024, I spoke with Nicole Verzi's attorney, David Schrager, about how he planned to defend her.
She's handling it as well as to be expected. I think that she's maintained a good mindset and has remained positive. She understands that the process is a lengthy one, and that she will have her day in court. She will get to tell her side of the story. She will get to share her truth. but that takes some time, and that's difficult for people to deal with. It's hard to understand that our justice system works in a way that it takes a long time to get to be able to the point where most of the people are expecting, which is a trial. A trial happens at the end of a criminal case, and that can be measured in years, potentially.
So to discuss this incredibly disturbing case, I want to bring in Dr. Debbie Goodman. She is a criminologist. And Dr. Goodman, thank you so much for joining me. This case is so stunning to me. And, you know, you don't want to ever judge a book by its cover, right? But we have a psychology PhD student in clinical psychology. She looks like a doll, right? She's like adorable. She's going to be studying clinical psychology. The allegation is she goes to her best friend's home. She's upset that she feels like she was doing nanny work, I guess, and that she's like helping change diapers. I don't know what else you thought you were going to do when you go to visit your best friend and she has newborn twins. That's kind of what you do. You help out. But then she allegedly tells the cops, I've had a compulsion since I was a child to harm children. I can't stop myself. What do you make of that?
Certainly. Well, good morning, Ann Jeanette, and what a pleasure to join you on such a startling, shocking, sickening case. It's just beyond comprehension to think that someone who you just described, and I agree with you, we can't judge the book by the cover, but what we judge and what we evaluate is the mindset. So thus far in the fact pattern, I believe that this individual, right down the list of first degree murder with, there was a level of planning, premeditation, willful with malice. So it's indicative, Anjanette, of some other high profile cases that have been discussed on the network and in the media platforms of those who harm children. We could take a look at Susan Smith and the death of her two children, Michael and Alex. We look toward Andrea Yates and the 5 children, 4 sons, 1 daughter. Lori Vallow Daybell and the death of Tylee and JJ. So when it comes to any level of mental health question, and that is the question here, what level of mental health compromise, if any, did she actually have? But I think it's these other issues, Anjanette, that will supersede whatever her defense comes in saying. And I can assure you as a criminologist that any level and category of murder that we would discuss, whether it's a singular homicide, double, quadruple, serial murder, mass murder, workplace, school-based, family, there is a level of obsessive compulsivity to these individuals' behaviors. So although we anticipate at the October trial, of course, her defense will raise some type of issue along these lines or intermittent anger disorder. There will be a variety of things stated, but I think that the composition of this jury will likely be individuals who are mothers, who are fathers, brothers, sisters. They have siblings, and it will be absolutely unconscionable to them that this individual could do what she did, killing little 6-week-old Leon and harming, the twin brother Ari. It's just beyond comprehension.
But where could she have developed, if this is true? And I'm saying if it's true, because maybe after she's sitting in this interrogation room for hours and hours at the police department, maybe the wheels are turning. She's talked to her parents, according to all of the reporting on this case. Her parents came in and they're like, honey, we're going to get through this. We love you. She got a defense attorney. And then apparently she gets a defense attorney. She talks to a defense attorney. And then the cops are like saying, she says, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to tell you what happened. And she, after invoking her right to remain silent, then withdraws that and says, I'm going to tell you what happened. And she admits to shaking Leon and dropping him onto the floor until she hears a crack. And then she's like, I don't know what it is. Ever since I was a kid, I've had this compulsion. I can't stop myself. I want to hurt other kids. And then she literally talks about how she's hurt other children. According to, the reporting from triblive.com, she goes through these other instances where she's hurt kids, like since she was a kid. So, wow. Like, do you believe possibly that is actually true, that she's had this like deep-seated compulsion since she was a kid to do this? Or is she smart enough to lay the groundwork for some type of psychological defense while she's sitting there in the interview room?
I don't believe her, Anjanette. I simply
You don't believe her?
do not. I think I really don't. I don't. For me to believe this is valid and viable and accurate, I'd need some actual documentation, proof, something from a psychologist, a psychiatrist. And here's why I don't believe her. Because if her best friend, Savannah, is asking her to babysit her children, doesn't a best friend know our deepest, darkest thoughts and issues and conduct? So why would a mom of twin boys allow somebody that she knew potentially had this disorder even near her children, let alone to be unsupervised with them? What I really think, Anjanette, if we go down the list of evil, for me, it's an acronym that would represent, I think, Nicole was envious, the E for envious. V, the behavior is so vile. I, she had the intent to harm. And L, she has repeatedly lied. So once people start lying, I actually believe in criminology that that's their defense mechanism. You see, they know what they did. They know what they did was wrong, but they start out with the lie. And then isn't it curious to us how midway she decides, oh, investigators, detectives, let me actually now tell you the truth. That's the part I believe, what she actually did to harm little Leon and Ari.
So you think that she possibly made up this childhood history of wanting to harm children? You think she made that up to possibly give herself some mitigation, seeing that she was going to be probably charged with killing Leon?
I think so, Anjanette. In criminology, we have two areas that are very important, whether it's this crime or any crime dealing with murder. We look at what's called the mens rea. That's the intent. That's the criminal state of mind. And then the second side of the coin is the actus reus. That's the action itself. So wherever this gray area, let's call it, would fall in, obsessive compulsive conduct, the desire to harm children, again, I don't see it at all as negating the fact pattern of the severity, the acute harm that she caused in the death of Leon and in the aggravated assault of Ari.
I want to read a little bit more about what she told the cops. After she says, I'll talk to you again, after she invoked her right to counsel, and then she's like, no, I can't do this anymore. I want to talk to you. And keep in mind, she's a PhD student, so she's not dumb. She has some level of intelligence. She says that she had a long history of depression, anxiety, and she had previously been treated for an eating disorder. She said when she was around 7, she locked a 2-year-old in a bathroom and pinched her until she cried. When she was 12 at a church camp, she said she dropped a toddler on a couch a couple of times, which, that's a far cry from what is alleged to have happened to Leon. When she was around 7, in high school, she told the detective she babysat just one time, and she said she put a hot mug on the baby's arm and pinched the child. I mean, this all sounds super sadistic, kind of like bordering on sadistic behavior, getting some type of pleasure out of hurting somebody. And then in high school, and then she said, this is the first time this happened as an adult. There's some weird drive in me that wants to see kids in pain. And then she said when she was hurting Leon, I felt remorseful when I was actually doing it. I was like watching myself. That was so mean of me. But she said it made her feel satisfied to cause him pain. Yikes. And then she said she was actually caring for him while she was causing him pain. So you think she's making all this up? Is there any way that she's legitimately describing a disorder of some sort? Could you literally care for somebody at the same time, like change their diapers and be nice to them while you're changing, like while you're causing them pain and essentially murdering them?
So everything you're describing, and Jeanette, that Nicole stated happened. We open any criminology textbook, and what jumps right out at us is a category called hedonistic killer. So hedonism, we know, is all about pleasure, and it's normal in terms of just our every daily lives and behaviors and lifestyle, right? We gain pleasure with our family members and our colleagues with whom we interact at work, and then we have our hobbies and behaviors and things we like to engage in. So now we shift gears slightly. Now we look at criminals and people who murder, many of whom will derive pleasure while harming others. And once again, we go straight down that list, and that includes the serial murderer, the mass murderer, those who are harming children, those who are harming elders. Why? Because it speaks to something a little different. They're deriving pleasure, but there's, what I refer to as CPA. There's also the control, the power, the authority that these individuals have over their vulnerable victims. So the hedonistic killer is actually very common at all age groups of criminals. I think that's who and what this individual is.
She also sounded like she was mad. And this kind of makes me wonder, like, is she kind of like a spoiled princess? Like, is she a spoiled brat? Because she's saying she was being put to nanny work and she didn't like that. I mean, you're visiting your best friend who just had twins. I mean, that's, she's your best friend. And having twins, having a baby is a big deal. So maybe you are going to like travel there and help out. Like if your sister has a baby, you go and travel and you help out because it's like a very traumatic thing to the body to have babies. So like maybe she's just upset and felt like she shouldn't be having to take care of a baby. I mean, could that be just like really the root cause of this?
Well, I definitely think it's a part of rather than apart from the dynamic here. But let's also just talk about forensic psychology for a moment, Anjanette. And what do we know? We know that when crimes are based on the same gender, meaning if it's a male criminal and a male victim, female criminal, female victim, there are also other emotional elements here as to why people pick, if you will, select who they want in terms of victimology. And so I think it's quite likely, and I'm sure it'll come out at trial, there must be some level of jealousy, I believe, that Nicole has towards Savannah. Maybe Savannah was very, successful in her personal life and lifestyle, being married, having twins. At the moment, yes, as you mentioned at the intro, Nicole was more on the cerebral side, perhaps intellectual, going through a PhD program, but from afar may have truly been envious of the best friend. And so if we really believe this platform of her desire to harm children, I must believe that Savannah would have known this, being her very best friend. That's why I just don't think it exists. I think it's fabricated. I think it becomes a convenient crutch for the defense to come up with something in terms of how to possibly mitigate, because we know the state is seeking the death penalty on this.
They definitely are. And there is nobody more defenseless in this world than a baby. Just awful. This is an awful case, a horrific case. And, the state, I just don't see a deal here. I don't see them doing a deal unless the parents sign off on it and they just don't want to have like years and years of appeals. That's the only way I see this possibly happening. Because Nicole Verzi, according to the article, she apparently said to the cops, I know I need to go away and possibly worse or possibly more. So it's almost like a recognition, some self-awareness that she's got some bad stuff going on. Dr. Debbie Goodman, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Anjanette.
Nicole Verzi has pleaded not guilty to charges of criminal homicide and abuse charges that she faces. Her trial is scheduled to begin in October of 2026.
Two Illinois 18-year-olds could face months behind bars after being charged with what's being called mob action. We'll talk about the legal definition of that in a minute, but it appears that not only these allegations, but some of this might have been recorded and maybe shared. April 23rd, Haley Ditzer and Olivia Brown were booked into the jail in Madison County, Illinois, which is in the southeast part of the state near St. Louis. And the teens are accused of targeting a local woman, luring her into a wooded area and attacking her. And members of the community say that's not the only person they've allegedly beaten up. Talk about this, I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Andrew Baldwin. Andrew, so good to see you. Thanks for taking the time to come back here on Sidebar.
Good to see you again, Jesse.
So, Andrew, according to the charging information, Ditzler and Brown, acting together, allegedly dragged the victim into the woods, repeatedly punched and kicked her in the face, mouth, stomach, arms, legs. This is if true, a full-blown assault on her entire body. Certainly seems like the allegation would be it's premeditated. What's just your initial reaction to an alleged crime like this?
Well, as a defense lawyer, when you get somebody walking into your office that says, my daughter's been accused of this crime, you go through your thoughts as a defense lawyer. First and foremost, they're presumed innocent, and you're hoping that there's going to be some lack of evidence or some evidence that's helpful for the client. Then you also flip on your human being side, you're a parent, and you start to think, my God, what's going on here if this really happened. And so those things kind of conflict at times. And so just as a defense lawyer, if that's what you're asking, you really have to kind of push that down, right? Those feelings as a parent. And you got to say, let's look at the elements of the crime. Can we defeat this case?
So what might complicate or what makes this a little bit different now is that while Ditzler and Brown, they only face charges right now in connection with that attack, that alleged attack, another teen has apparently come forward to say that she was also attacked by Ditzler and Brown in a very similar manner. Evie Behrens apparently posted videos of her alleged assault on social media after it appeared footage of the attack was shared on Snapchat by Haley Ditzler. In one of the videos, one of the suspects apparently places their phone on the ground, pointed it toward a basketball court. It's dark out there, but you can see the outline of someone seemingly dragging someone else into the frame. And you can hear as at least one of the suspects starts apparently assaulting Behrens. And based on the footage that she shared, Behrens doesn't appear to fight back and can be heard saying things like, "Okay, I'm sorry guys, please stop." And it appears that Behrens refers to both Haley and Olivia by anime. And after landing a few blows, the suspect, who we believe to be Olivia Brown, picks up the phone while it's still recording and appears to think the fight is over. But a person referred to in the video as Haley continues to cuss at Behrens, and you can hear more blows landing. Behrens' screams get louder and more intense, and Brown seems more and more concerned that someone might come to Behrens' aid.
No, Haley, we got it. We got it.
Which one? I can't hear you. I can't. Come on, find me.
No, we did it.
You guys jumped me.
You fight one of us
one-on-one.
Or it's not
foot.
You fight one of us one-on-one. I'll let you get your shoe on because I'm not behind you. Charlie, scream. Hey, we got it. No, one-on-one. Now go. Go. I'm telling her go.
I can't see.
Pick Olivia or me. Pick Olivia.
I can't.
You can see me though. You can see me. Olivia, stop. No, you stop.
So the girl believed to be Olivia repeatedly tries to get Haley to leave, where they're saying, "We made her scream, it's over." And as the two teens finally walked away, they could be heard telling Behrens, or allegedly telling Behrens, to never disrespect either of them ever again. Okay, Andrew, first let's talk about if this video is what it purports to be. Can that be used as evidence in the other criminal case?
That's a great question, Jesse. And in most situations, the answer would be no. The rule of evidence that usually prevails is 404B, and it does not allow a prosecutor to admit evidence of a prior bad act. However, under 404B, there are permitted uses when you can bring in that evidence. And one of those permitted uses is for MO, or modus operandi, when there is kind of a signature of the way that they do things. And that could fit the bill here. And that would be pretty devastating on the case with Ms. Ditzler and Ms. Brown if that were allowed to come into evidence.
And so, in other words, to establish a pattern of attack. But I guess the question would be, and just to be clear, you don't have to be charged with that evidence to come in. They don't have to be convicted or charged. It could just be, this Ms. Barron's taking the stand, saying this happened, playing the video.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be highly contentious in the courtroom. In a pretrial motion, you'd probably bring her in there, and the judge would have to. It'd be really factually based. Is this so similar? Is this such a pattern that we can rely on it to not do what it's really intended to do, and that is to show that these girls are acting and that Miss Brown and Miss Ditzler did exactly what they did previously, and that's a forbidden inference that's not allowed. But 404B will allow it if a judge allows it.
By the way, off topic, but another serious issue I want to talk about with you real quick: debt. Debt doesn't just show up one day. It builds little by little. Credit cards, car loans, medical bills, and suddenly you're juggling payments. You're feeling stuck. Here's the good news. At the time of this recording, they haven't been charged with respect to Barron's, my understanding is. Why do you think that might be?
It's hard to know. In today's world, there's crazy things that happen on these, especially with young people, and you want to make sure that this wasn't contrived, perhaps. Like, is this everybody involved in a show? I know that sounds crazy, that maybe Ms. Barron's is part of a crew of people that are trying to get likes on a TikTok page or something like that. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, prosecutors have to be very careful nowadays before they file anything involving video online, especially young people, because they have a tendency of doing things that we adults would not expect.
Just what's your reaction to that video? Because the video evidence is so important. I mean, it's so compelling for a jury. And let's say they are charged in connection with that attack, that alleged attack. How do you argue against that? What do you say about a video like that?
Well, life, as I often say, is crazy in other people's worlds. And like I said before, you don't know exactly what was going on contextually behind the scenes. Were these three girls involved with one? It doesn't seem that way. It seems like it's legit. So as a defense lawyer, you're trying to find out, is there more to the story here? So you got some early decisions to make. Am I going to accept it for what it is and go to the prosecutor and say, hey, let's work out a deal before this kind of gets out of control, or are you going to fight it? Normally, I like to let the evidence come to me first before I start making decisions like that. I want to find out what they have and what they don't have. And I really don't want to find out from my client necessarily early on, like, tell me what happened. I want to wait until the evidence comes to me. But in a case like this, when there's going to be some publicity and the evidence is seemingly really awful video evidence, maybe you find out more quickly from your client, did this really happen? Because if it did, I need to do some damage control. And we need to get in there before, Ditzler, if I'm representing Ditzler, then I want the better deal first. And if I'm representing Brown, I want the better deal first. Let's get that best deal first.
Now, Barron's also shared a short clip of herself in her car after the alleged attack, showing a cut on her knee, makeup running down her face from crying. Take a look.
Bro, I don't know what to do, bro. Crazy, bro. My whole head is like pounding.
Now, Barron's told First Alert 4 in St. Louis that Ditzler and Brown, they have perpetrated multiple attacks in Madison and St. Clair counties, and that while they were all once friends, she distanced herself from the two after they started allegedly targeting people. Now, Andrew, generally speaking, are we seeing a lot of youth violence cases like these allegations? Have you been covering them? Are you seeing an uptick in them at all?
Big time. I mean, it's I've done this for 30 plus years now, and I've not ever seen the amount of youth on youth violence. Maybe it was always going on and they just didn't videotape it and throw it on YouTube or whatever, and therefore it has always gone on. But that's not what I think. I think it's kind of driven by social media because, like, again, even this victim, if she is a victim, Barents, she goes on television she's in her car and why are you just got beat up? Why are you doing that? It's a weird, there's kind of a weird sickness going on with the youth.
Well, you could say she's trying to bring awareness to this. I mean, she spoke with Five on Your Side, telling the outlet that she'd been hanging out with friends when she saw a bunch of boys in ski masks sneaking up to their car. She says she saw Brown and Ditzler, drove away, and the next day, she claims her former friends texted her, saying they wanted to apologize, lured her out to the spot where the attack allegedly happened. So it seems to me, the counter-argument to that would be, Andrew, she's trying to bring awareness to what happened or allegedly happened to her.
Well, I think going to news media is one thing, but going on your Facebook page and posting about it is something different. I mean, now we're not talking about the law; we're just talking about society. I just find it to be an odd thing to do, and it makes her less appealing as a victim as well. And maybe as a defense lawyer, I could glom onto that a little bit somehow.
Now, Barents' mother, Lara McCord, told First Alert 4, quote, she was scraped up like road rash on her leg and her back. She had bruises on her back. She had a swollen eye. It was bloodshot, a bruise on her other. Her lip was busted a little, but the most concerning thing is that she had a concussion. So I imagine, Andrew, is that a medical conclusion from medical reports? It's important for this to be documented, correct?
Yeah, of course. I mean, later on, whether it's an element of the crime might require a definition that includes concussion or something like that. So or broken bones or scrapes or pain. So you definitely want to get to a hospital and get that. If you're a prosecutor, you want to get those records.
Now, I want to talk about what they're facing. So with that separate attack regarding that woman, that alleged attack, Brown and Ditzler, they face a charge of mob action. So according to the Illinois criminal statute, it says a person commits mob action when he or she engages in the knowing or reckless use of force or violence disturbing the public peace by two or more persons acting together and without authority of law. And the teens could face between 1 and 3 years in prison if they're convicted of it. That's our understanding. I've never seen a charge like that, mob action.
Yeah, mob action. When I saw that, it's kind of a funny title for a crime, and it's not. I thought, well, maybe this is social media driven legislation that caused that, but it's been around since at least since the 1990s. I was going through some of the case law that details, what it is and what it isn't, according to the Court of Appeals in Illinois. And it's been around a while, and there's been some overturned convictions of mob action because there's a specific intent of why that legislation exists.
And I imagine one of the areas that a defense attorney could hone in on is acting together in concert.
Yeah.
And I wonder that could be an area where you say, well, wait a minute, I wasn't on board with that. I just was watching. I mean, right? Talk to me about what that issue could be.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, one of the cases that I read talked about, it was two groups of people, two guys were in a fight, and then they each had a buddy standing next to them, and then those two guys got in a fight over the other two fighting. And so it was two groups of people. It seemingly met the definition under the statute, but then in the end, the Court of Appeal, there was a conviction, and then the Court of Appeal said, no, that's two different things. They were not acting in concert on the same thing. So with Miss Ditzler and Miss Brown, I mean, it could be fact intensive. It seems kind of self-explanatory. These girls worked in concert together, lured her into the woods. But what happens if one is arguing about, you said this about, you dissed my boyfriend, and the other one is like, well, in third grade, you did this to me, and they're arguing about two different things. Can you argue that's not acting in concert? They're actually arguing about two different things. I know it seems, for non-lawyers, they may think, well, that's just a silly argument, but those are the types of things that might win the day, might get the charges even dismissed.
If they are convicted of this, what do you imagine the punishment could be?
Well, like you said, 1 to 3 years is what they're facing. They're 18 years old. I looked at their mugshot, and if I were a prosecutor, I would take that mugshot, and they seemed, you don't want to read too much into a mugshot, but I'm sitting here looking at it. They seem very they seem like they just don't care. They're smiling, they're smirking, almost, you can almost read into it like, oh, we're going to get some good clicks on this or something. I mean, and if I were a judge and I saw those mugshots, and if the girl's demeanor is consistent with that at sentencing, I got to tell you, as a judge, I might say this is an important time in their life. They're 18 years old. They're doing this other places, perhaps. They need to spend a little time in jail and really think this through, and then they need to get some counseling and things like that. You know, when they're 18, and they don't have a prior criminal history. If that is the case, it's easy to think, let's slap them on the wrist and let them go on their way, maybe with some counseling. But I don't know if that is going to help them as human beings on their the road that they travel.
Now, Barron's told First Alert 4 they don't care, and I feel like they would do it again if they hadn't gotten caught. They would still be out here doing it and still be trying to find me. And she says she's now filed a restraining order against Brown and Ditzler. We checked Madison County court records and found that there are emergency no contact orders in place with a hearing scheduled for later this month. I mean, Andrew, something to point out about this is we did reach out to Barron's and her mom, Lara McCord. They declined to speak with us now that the investigation's ongoing, but McCord did post an update on Facebook saying, hello, everyone. I am Evie Barron's mom. I'm asking everyone to please stop threatening Haley Ditzler's and Olivia Brown's family. They are getting death threats. Please just let the justice system handle this. Thank you, everyone. And look, you certainly don't want to see reciprocal violence or some sort of revenge attack or anything like that. We've seen in the past that sometimes people can have serious bravado behind a screen that might get them in trouble in real life, but that's a serious problem. And it's the idea of the no contact order. Let's first start there. What's the purpose of it? How effective is it? And also, do you see the concern about posting so much on this on social media?
Yeah, the protective order, some people say it's only as good as as a piece of paper. You can walk right through that protective order if you really want to. I think most of the time it does its job. The purpose of it, of course, is to prevent Ditzler and Brown from going after the victim again, the alleged victim again. And because if they do, they face new consequences. First of all, they might revoke their bond and they just stay in jail during the entirety of the case. So I think it's really the only thing that you can do. And as far as the other thing you're talking about there, Jesse, which is I see this all the time where the victim's family does come out and say, hey, take it easy on the other side, which is a nice thing societally to see that the mom is doing that. I think it's a really terrific way to operate. So I appreciate that. Just even as a defense lawyer, I can say that's a great thing to do, Mom. Way to go.
And speaking of this, by the way, so Barron's herself apparently posted about her own past conduct a few days after the alleged attack, saying in part, everyone I have fought in my life I have made up with and are my friends now. For people to blame me for this is so hurtful. I have got with wrong crowds before and been in bad situations. Everyone makes mistakes. I would never hurt someone how these girls hurt me. I would never wish this on anyone. And she later posted an update writing, my fight videos are going to come out, of course. I've never hurt someone as bad as these girls hurt people. Again, I am friends with the girls I fought. People are going to come at me and make up false things. I really hate it. I am not the same as Haley and Olivia. I've had a fight phase, but I've never been sick like them. I would never hurt someone like them. This hurts my mental health, and I cannot take it. Andrew, what do you make of that?
Wow. I'm salivating as a defense lawyer right now listening to that, because now the game changes a little bit. If what she's doing is preemptively telling the world like, hey, there's going to be some fight videos of where I've been the aggressor and I've beat up some people. Now you get into self-defense. Now you get into other possible defenses out there. And now the 404B that I talked about earlier may turn the tables on Barron's, where it's like,
meaning if she testifies, this could come against her.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would be absolutely fighting for that. Especially if they are charged with, Ditzler and Brown are charged with crimes against her. That's absolutely going to be grounds for fighting over whether those videos come in. And now you're talking about an entirely different ballgame as a defense lawyer. You don't fear the video as much because there's other video that they have to fear. And then that becomes a tool for plea negotiations.
By the way, in a motion that was filed with the court, prosecutors requested special bail conditions to prevent the suspects from having any contact with the other girl that they allegedly attacked. The motion states, the defendant has previously threatened or perpetrated physical abuse toward the victim in this matter. On information and belief, the defendant presents a continued threat to the victim, and the defendant may harm, harass, or interfere with the personal liberty of the victim during the pendency of this action. Now, the court records indicate that the judge signed off on standard and additional pretrial release rules, but it's unclear if the defendants were required to post any sort of cash bond before they were released. Andrew, you have thoughts on this?
Well, it's probably more talking about a protective order of the court's own choosing versus a separate protective order in a separate action. The judge, as a condition of bond, can say, hey, you cannot be hanging around those girls. You can't talk about them on social media. Your friends can't go harass those girls. If you do any of that stuff, you're going back to jail. That's your condition of bond. And that is probably what that's being talked about. They have a right to a bond, a constitutional right to a bond. And but if they are released and they get in contact, if the judge says you cannot get in contact, that means they'll get thrown right back in jail.
Yeah. By the way, they have both Ditzler and Brown, they have a preliminary hearing on May 16th. What can we expect from a preliminary hearing?
Usually those are a nothing burger. There's not a whole lot going on. It's, hey, when are we going to get our trial date? Is there anything I as a judge can do for you to expedite discovery? Things like that. It might be the judge taking an opportunity to remind Ditzler and Brown that they are not allowed to have any communication with the alleged victim and that kind of thing. So it's a lot of housekeeping.
Oh, I thought it was, they present enough evidence to move forward. It's almost like, what prosecution, what do you have? Is there probable cause? Would I be right about that?
Well, this is where, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jesse. Yeah, you might be right on that. I'm not in Illinois. I'm next door in Indiana.
Sure.
In Indiana, that's what a pretrial hearing is. In Illinois, that might be something a little bit more adventurous than what we do in Indiana.
Well, in Indiana, are there preliminary hearings where the prosecution has to put forward evidence to establish probable cause? Because I've spoken to defense attorneys before who say, we kind of like it, kind of gives us a view about what the prosecution has, where they're going. There are other defendants who waive a preliminary hearing. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, in Indiana, we charge by information, meaning it's a piece of paper sworn by the prosecution that all these facts are true, as detailed by the police officer. And then a judge looks at it, and if it meets the definition, or the elements are met through the information, the probable cause affidavit, then the judge signs off on it. In Ohio, where I went to law school, it's different. It's more like what you're talking about, where there's a hearing and they bring in law enforcement, and that's really, in Ohio, that's really your only opportunity to cross-examine the law enforcement officer, because they're not going to talk to you afterwards in Ohio. In Indiana, we have depositions that we can conduct. And we're one of the few states that does that, but they don't do that in Ohio. I don't think they do that in Illinois. Yeah. So yeah, if you're a defense lawyer, I'm guessing you never want to waive an initial hearing on a case like this, especially. You want to get as much information on the record so that later on at trial, if there is a trial, you can impeach the witness with their prior testimony.
Absolutely, absolutely, and as they should. That's a great mechanism to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. Andrew Baldwin, great seeing you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the case.
Thank you, Jesse.
A horrific murder out of Indiana when a young mother is found shot in the head, and the father of one of her children is charged with the gruesome murder.
Clearly, this is a case where he knew exactly what he was doing. He planned it out. He thought it out.
On Saturday, August 10th, 25-year-old Caitlin Lee was making a TikTok video with a friend inside her apartment. According to police, suddenly she heard a bang on the window. That banging allegedly came from Caitlin's ex-boyfriend, Joshua Thompson, who she shares a 1-year-old son with. But what started as making a fun TikTok with a friend would turn into a deadly tragedy. According to court filings, when Caitlin saw Thompson, she asked, "What are you doing here?" But her friend told investigators in the midst of that question, that's when she noticed the man who was identified as Thompson aiming a gun at the window. He allegedly fired off 2 to 3 shots, which hit Caitlin. Court documents would reveal more horrific details. According to the filing, the murder was captured on the TikTok video. Investigators say when they reviewed the video, it showed Caitlin and her friend laughing and lip-syncing to a song before the fatal shooting. Police say when Caitlin was hit, her body fell out of view and smoke was hanging in the room before the video shut off. After the shooting, Thompson fled but left the gun on the ground outside the window. Police say after the murder, Thompson called his brother crying and distraught and confessed that he shot Caitlin in the head, killing her. Thompson's brother reportedly told him to call police and tell them what happened. Thompson revealed to authorities he was in the area for about half an hour before walking to the back of the window and looking inside. He said he spotted his ex-girlfriend by looking through a gap in the blinds at the bottom of the kitchen window and seeing both Caitlin and her friend dancing. Police say Thompson confessed to knocking on the window with the barrel of the gun, causing it to break and shooting Caitlin. And new details just released would reveal more insight into how and why this shocking murder occurred. When speaking to authorities, Thompson reportedly admitted to driving to Caitlin's friend's apartment because he wanted to see if she was there with other men. Caitlin's friend who witnessed the murder told officers Thompson and Caitlin had a toxic relationship and were always at odds with each other. Her friend said Caitlin told her at one point if she were ever found dead, it would be Thompson who killed her. According to a report by WAVE, Caitlin's aunt described how her niece had moved 3 times in the last 4 months, all in efforts to stay away from Thompson after their relationship ended violently. Caitlin's aunt described to the outlet that in April of this year, Thompson allegedly beat Caitlin to the point she was black and blue, and Thompson was previously arrested for the beating. That's when officials issued the emergency protective order. Thompson allegedly acknowledged to police that he was aware of the emergency protective order against him, but chose instead to violate the order. Well, here to join me to discuss more about this case is therapist, trauma expert, and the author of Stolen Childhoods. That's Sherry Botwin. Now, Sherry, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. This is truly a horrific case. The victim, Caitlin Lee, had an active no-contact order with the defendant, and even despite that, he found her at her friend's house while she was having a good time. She was making a TikTok video. She was dancing and lip-syncing with her friend, and then he shot at her and killed her. What went through your mind when you were learning about this case?
One of the first things I thought about is even when there's a no contact order, unless there's somebody following the perpetrator around 24 hours a day, he can at any point find her. Especially now, there's so much technology where you can be stalked and not even know that someone is following you. So, again, what I thought about was there's all these laws that we have to try to protect people, especially in situations where there's domestic violence, but it's almost impossible in cases that involve intimate partner domestic violence, which is what I think this is, to really protect the victim in that case. And again, like you said, she was just going about her day, having a good time, and she lost her life because he was able to access her even with the no contact order.
And what stuck out to me was Thompson went over there with a weapon. He spied on Caitlin through a window. So it doesn't seem like this was a heat of passion or anything. To me, it seemed like a premeditated murder. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think 100% premeditated. He even talked about that when he, because he reported himself, basically. He talked about how he went over, sort of like what he was thinking before. And again, in situations where there's so much emotional volatility, when there's domestic violence and it's partner relationship abuse, all that, whatever he's feeling, whether it's rage, jealousy, spite, if he's an unwell person and he is determined to do what he can to make that person go away, he's going to be able to do that unless he tells someone he's having these thoughts and that person can then help him not act on them. But clearly this is a case where he knew exactly what he was doing. He planned it out, he thought it out, and now he's going to lose the rest of his life behind bars. And now there's 3 children that are going to be without their mom. And how do you explain that to the children, that this person, your father, did this to your mother? It's just, it makes me think about the world that we live in. And these types of cases are really the hardest to prevent homicides when there's so much pathology, because it happens behind closed doors. And unless, again, he was put behind bars, there was no other way to really stop him if he was planning to end her life.
And another thing that stuck out to me is that an Ann had told a local media outlet that back in April that Thompson allegedly beat Caitlin Lee to the point where she was black and blue all over. He was in county jail and then he got out. What are your thoughts about how the court systems kind of, in your opinion, do you feel like they do a lot to protect victims of domestic violence and of domestic abuse?
I mean, I think of all the things in our country, one area that we really need a lot of work in is protecting victims, especially when it is in the court system. If he's behind bars, why did they let him out? What did he say that made people think that he was not going to be a danger to her or to other people? And I think one of the issues with the court system is they're not really educated about domestic violence. Like they're not required to take hours and hours of training. And I think that that's something that we need to work on. And I know every state is different. Some states have more training than others, but my first thought when I read that was, why did they let him out of prison? He clearly beat this woman nearly to death and he was let free. It almost, again, it invokes a lot of anger in me too, because we're always so focused on the perpetrator, but what about the victim? Like she was already clearly very hurt by this person. When she finds out that he's been let out of jail, one of the things that I read about her was she was constantly moving from place to place, trying to hide from this person. Why should she have to live her last days of her life in hiding? She didn't do anything wrong. And where is the protection for the victim? And where's the protection for the perpetrator? So if you're going to let him out of prison or let him out of jail in the court system, why isn't there sort of like an in-between place that we can have that person go where he's required to undergo treatment and be in a facility where there's some type of monitoring so that people can also watch him? Because in a way, the system let him down too, because they did not really react in a way that was going to keep him out of prison for the rest of his life.
And the victim, Caitlin Lee, she had a very ominous message for her friend who was a witness to the shooting. And that was that if anything were to happen to me, if I were to end up dead, that Joshua Thompson did this, that he did this. What are your thoughts on that message that, tragically became a true statement?
I mean, I think she sounds like she was a young but very smart woman who knew that this was a very dangerous man. And sometimes, again, when people are in relationships where there's abuse and it's happening behind closed doors, it's happening between partners, it's not uncommon for them to know at any point their life could end. Because I think what she's saying, even with what she tried to do to protect herself, she's saying, I know that this person wants me dead. And it's almost like she's preparing for her death, which again seems just so sad and unfair, because if he was that dangerous of a man, why was he let out of jail? And I think she probably knew as soon as he was let out of jail, he's going to retaliate. And when there's abuse, every episode gets worse and worse. So he beat her very badly. She knew on some level, I think, that the next thing that's going to happen is he's going to take my life. So I think she's advocating for herself and saying, this is just the truth in my situation. It's so sad.
And kind of going back to how domestic violence and domestic situations can turn into these very tragic and fatal tragedies at sometimes. What are your thoughts on just the overall trajectory from this case? They maybe at one point were in a loving relationship, they had a child together, but then there had to have been some point where it turned violent, it turned abusive. She did everything right by all accounts. We always ask victims in these types of situations, why did you stay? Why did you stay? But she left. She left. She had a no contact order in place that he clearly had violated to the point where he allegedly murdered the mother of his child. But what are your thoughts on kind of that trajectory and how these type of events can occur in these types of cases?
usually in cases of domestic violence, it can take the person who's being abused 7 times to actually fully leave the relationship, to make a report. Like you said, she did what she needed to do. She had that no contact order. She clearly told people. So this is a case that should not be, because again, like unlike some other people, survivors, when they can't leave, it's not just that they're not leaving, they're not telling anyone. So it's disheartening and discouraging to hear that this is the ending of this story. The way I think about it when I, read about the case and the state that it takes place in, I hope that if anything comes out of this case, that the state or other states who are trying to learn more about domestic violence and the danger behind that, that they will use this case and say, what did we do? Where did we go wrong here? What did we miss? What are we going to do different next time to make sure, if we're going to let the perpetrator out of jail, how are we going to make sure that we're looking out for any of the victims, whether it was the children, the wife, or even her family? What are we going to do to make sure this does not happen again? Because again, this is a case that we could learn something from once we get past the horror and the heartbreak.
All right, Sherry Botwin, I really appreciate your time to discuss this case today. Before we sign you off, is there any final thoughts you had that you would like to share?
I mean, the only other thing I want to share is just to keep in mind, again, with domestic violence, it's one of the hardest type of cases to really intervene and prevent things like this happening, because most often it all happens behind closed doors. So what I want to say, if you're out there and you're in a situation where you're not safe, do your best to try and let somebody know. Don't do this by yourself, and just know again that you're not at fault for something that somebody else is doing to you. I really just want to encourage people to not be silent and to try to take all that shame and blame you feel on yourself, and know that there's somebody out there that could probably help you if you let them know that there's something wrong.
All right, Sherry Botwin, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to interview with me about this story. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Joshua Thompson has been charged with the murder of Caitlin Lee. He's currently behind bars in the Floyd County Jail, held on no bond until his trial, which is slated for March, but is due in court again on September 9th. According to a GoFundMe page, Caitlin Lee will be laid to rest on Thursday, August 15th.